What
Alrighty.
since when?
I don't know what that was all about, but okay. Here occurred your destination.
Oh, what the? A premium account on X is required to create live broadcasts on their platform. Fucking since when? Oh, son of a bitch. All right, well, I guess we're not live on Twitter. It would have been nice if it would have told me that, like, while I was setting it up instead of waiting till I go live to tell me that. I mean, I've been
Okay, well,
going.
there's
Son
a
of a
lot
bitch.
of there's a lot of feedback, or
I'm not hearing any on my end. You sound fine to me.
well, I'm hearing it on my Hmm.
Son of a bitch. That is so frustrating. That is so irritating.
Okay, hopefully. Okay.
Son of a bitch. All right. Well, I guess we're just live on Instagram on my end right now. God damn
I keep I'm hearing like double on my end for some reason.
it. Double of everything or just you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm hearing it double you, double me. Like, I don't know. Yeah, everything, you and me. So, are you on?
Hang on. Hang on.
That's what I was saying. I wonder if you're live from the other day
Nope.
still.
Uh, no. Instagram. I got Instagram on mute. Um, is it an echo?
Well, no, it's just repeating. It's like a lag and repeating.
I don't know. Because like I say, I've got the Instagram going, but I've got Instagram on mute.
That's weird. I've never seen it do this before.
Yeah, I don't know. This is strange. I'm pissed off about the Twitter thing. I'm irritated as hell about that. If it would have just told me, because I had everything set up about a half hour ago, 45 minutes ago. I had everything set up like normal. Oh, Jason just left. Okay. All right. Well, if any of you guys have ever come and watched the show, we have these technical difficulties every now and then because we don't have professional producers. We're doing this ourselves, and sometimes our equipment doesn't work right. Aloha, Amy, back in Hawaii, and forgot it's Friday. Well, when you're on vacation for the whole summer, I guess sometimes you do forget what day it is. But it's good to have you back in the chat. I'm sure Dana will be along here in a little bit. We do have our live guest. He is backstage right now. We will be bringing him in shortly. So he is here. He's ready to roll. We were talking to him backstage, quote unquote, before the show here. So we will be bringing him in shortly. So try to iron out these wrinkles, see what's going on. So give a couple of birthday shout outs real quick while Jason gets back. We got Geezer Butler from Black
Okay.
Sabbath and Machine
Hey,
Head, Rob Flynn from Machine Head. Go ahead.
so I'm still hearing it, but like when I went out of the studio,
Mm-hmm.
I only heard you, but like when I came back in, now I'm hearing it. Now I'm hearing double.
I don't get that. Hold on. And is that any better?
Well, no, it's like you're live and I'm live or something on here.
I that's really weird, man. Because like I say, the only other like I say, the only thing I have open on my end is Instagram, and the live feed on Instagram is behind, and it's on mute. So that's the only other audio thing I could have open. I don't know. I'm not sure what else to.
That's so weird.
I really don't know.
Oh,
I don't
did it
know.
fix itself? Let's see.
Hello, hello. Yes, no. Maybe so.
Oh, I think it fixed itself. Okay. That
Maybe
was
you
weird.
maybe you weren't holding your mouth right.
I mean, it could be Microsoft issues. I didn't think about that because I am on Google, so did not think about that. So I forgot about they had all those issues. So.
Oh yeah, that was real fun this morning when I walked into work and every computer in the office had that blue screen. I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Oh, I bet. They were messaging me. This is my off day, and people at the office were messaging me, going, "Hey, can you log into this or log into that?" I'm like, I mean, I'm off, but I'll see, I guess.
They
I'm
just
like,
wanted you to at least try. Yeah.
yeah. So I was like logging into stuff. Like, yeah, no, I can't get into that. Can't get into that. And they were like, oh shit. So like part of Amazon was down too because of it. And
Yeah,
I think there was. I think Apple had some issues. I think everybody had some issues.
Yeah, I was without my computer for about 3.5 hours this morning. Which I mean, it came back. IT got it all that they got it figured out and everything. So,
cool.
Long story short, it was fine.
All right, I guess without further ado, we're going to bring in our guest.
Right, he's probably getting impatient.
Yeah, he's like, what these guys doing?
Yeah, I know.
I was like, I'm on here with a bunch of damn clowns. And
well, I mean, he is. He would be right, but.
So this is our first guest that we were just talking about. This is our first guest from South America, which is pretty exciting. We might get a little culture updates to see how things are over in Brazil.
That's right.
But, we're going to bring in the lead vocalist from Royal Rage, Pedro. I'm going to say his name wrong already, and he told me how to pronounce it, but I think it's Ferreira. Is that right?
I believe that's how he said it was pronounced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, he gave me the thumbs up, so I guess I did it right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But, thanks for bearing with us there for the little equipment issues we had.
That has never happened in our 3 years using this platform. That was crazy.
Technical issues. Every now and then we face technical issues. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, it didn't make it any better that we're sitting there complaining about technical issues at a live show, and then we're talking about it here. This, he's probably over here going, "Man, y'all guys just need to get together."
We do. Well, we do. Yeah, we actually
do. Right.
Well, we're not doing this for money, so that's the biggest issue.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
Well, that's got to be a problem from metalheads all around the world, right?
Yeah,
I don't think we talked to too many bands that are like, "Oh yeah, this is what I do all the time." Like,
that's true. That's true too. It absolutely is.
Well, I mean, I think it was wasn't it last week? Brian was talking about that from the dude was saying that some of these bands, even like not big bands, but some of the bands that you think, oh, they're great. I've seen them at this show and that show opening these for these guys or whatever. And he said, you do know those guys still do a 9 to 5 job in between shows and stuff. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that. So he said, oh yeah, they'll do temp work or somewhere at a restaurant or whatever just to make money while in between performing. So that's pretty wild to know. But I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, what job is going to let you go, on a personal leave every 3 months at a time, a couple times a year. So
that's true.
So I could do it at my job. I wouldn't get paid, but I could do it.
Oh yeah, they won't pay you. They won't do that.
Yeah. So talking with Pedro here, he is the lead vocalist, correct? And guitars. Yeah. You do guitars too, yeah.
I do guitars as well. Yeah.
For Royal Rage, if you hadn't heard of those guys, check them out. We kind of learned about them through Heavy Music HQ about the new album, and then of course we found it on Spotify and listened to it, and
awesome,
all that good stuff. Yeah. So and he's going to tell you, and I'm sure he's going to tell us a better way to get them paid better than downloading it from Spotify. But
God, I hope so. I so hope so. I hope so.
So unfortunately, as much as we despise doing it that way, I mean that's kind of the way of the world right now.
It's the definition of a double-edged sword. It really is.
It really is.
Well, I got to be honest. When I was a teenager here in Brazil, it was very hard for us to find good metal records, and the record store wouldn't have any because this is not the trending kind of music here.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that we had was downloading. I mean, illegal downloading. And well, but that's the way that I got to know a lot of the bands, that I love. That's how I got to know Exodus. That's my fucking favorite band.
Awesome.
And this is one of the reasons that I don't get mad if people stream. I think it's good because I'm getting paid just a little bit, but I'm getting paid, and it's the reach that we have nowadays is way wider. It's way better than just releasing a CD and hoping to get to the other side of the Atlantic or to the other side of America, and hoping to someone that pops the attention on the CD shelf. I think Spotify is great in a way.
Except for when you go to the mailbox.
Well, I
and
mean,
you get the envelope.
it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it is good. For,
and I mean,
it is good for publicity to get your name out there and to some people on the other side of the world that otherwise wouldn't know who you were. So
yeah,
kind of the same thing as us. Is like that's what we do is because we've told this story, but there's a band called Onslaught that had been around for 40 years that we didn't even know about until
I fucking love them.
Yeah, until 2020.
Yeah.
And
we
were like, and me and Chris are both thrash guys at heart, and we were just like, how in the fuck do we not know who Onslaught is? Like, how did we miss these guys for 40 years? Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
So after that, we was like, hey, we got to do. If we're missing out, then a lot of other people are missing out. We got to do something. So,
we didn't discover Onslaught until Generation Antichrist. It's like I mean, they've been around. They've been around since '85, and it's like, good God! I mean, they're 35 years into their careers when we finally discovered them. I mean, it's just
right.
better late than never. But
I think I went back and bought three more of their CDs from the past too. When I found out who they were, I'm like, damn, I can't believe I missed out on this. But
6 is forever on my top 10 thrash metal albums of all times. This is a masterpiece that I always get as a reference to a good thrash metal record. And that's the one album that I got to know Onslaught. Did I say it right?
Onslaught.
Onslaught. Yeah.
Onslaught.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Onslaught.
A bit of a broken English. I'm a bit rusty.
Oh,
sorry.
No. I mean,
you're fine.
You're.
Hey, I'm from here. My English is broken, so I mean.
My aunt is in the chat tonight, and she wants to know if because you're talking about getting metal any way that you could. Yeah, there's a question on the screen. She wants to know if any of the radio stations there played metal or.
Well, back in the 90s, the late 90s and early 2000s, there was this one radio in my city called 91 Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to play not metal. I mean, as heavy as they would go would be Metallica.
Mm-hmm. That
so
sounds
not that heavy, right? Not that heavy, right? And they ended up selling the radio to a Christian station. And we don't have rock stations here in my city no more. In São Paulo, the biggest city,
right?
They have the 89 rock station, but again, the heavier that they would go is Metallica. Probably late at night, the midnight show would play some thrash and death metal, but it's not a popular genre here. People really do go to other kind of styles. We have a style. I'm not sure if you guys have this style in America, but we call it trap. It's a mixture of funk.
Yeah,
okay.
It's here. Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, it's one of the top 10 musical styles here in Brazil, alongside with sertanejo, which is let's say the country of Brazil, and funk.
Okay.
The Brazilian funk, not the good funk, the
like
trashy funk,
like George Clinton and everything up here. Yeah. So. And that's actually about as far as my funk knowledge goes. Really, is George Clinton and the.
It kind of reminds me
of about as far as mine goes.
It kind of reminds me of that Kids movie Robots, where Robin Williams is in that movie and he says, "Oh, it's a mixture of jazz and funk. We call it junk." I was like, "Oh, okay."
He was. I mean, not for nothing, but Robin Williams is really good in that movie. Of course, he's pretty much good in everything he's ever been in. But
Yeah.
so that actually, I wanted. I'm glad you brought that up. Kind of like the lack of coverage there, because I was kind of curious as to, because I mean Brazil is a big country. Of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
it covers a lot of space, but I don't. I mean, I know it's big, and I know about Sao Paulo, and I know about Brasilia, but I mean, I don't really know much about like yeah, Curitiba and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm not super duper versed in like a lot of the outlying parts of Brazil, other than obviously the size. But so I
Okay.
was curious as to like what the overall scene was like, because we have a friend of ours. He's a friend of the show, and he actually is originally from Peru, and
Okay.
he lives up here, and he lives in Nashville. So he lives about 45 minutes to an hour away from us, but his sister is still down in Peru. So but they're big metalheads. They both have Facebook groups that they moderate. He's got one that he handles here, and his sister has one that she handles down there in Peru. And I I always wondered what the overall scene was like, because I have seen like was it Jason? You have to correct me on this if I'm wrong, but was it the Iron Maiden Flight 666 video when they were going down, when they were going all over the world, and they were in like they were in like Santiago, Chile, they were in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and all that stuff? Because I mean, they go to the big cities,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if they went to Sao Paulo on that tour or not, on that video, but
They did.
did they? Okay, I thought they might have. So watching that, it gives you a sense of what the heavy metal fans are like in the big cities. But
Okay.
to me, talking to you now that you're in South America, I wanted to ask, outside of those major metropolitan areas, what the scene is kind of like. Because, like I say, I don't know how big Curitiba is, so that was kind of one of the things I was curious about, how it differs from the big city to like the smaller cities, or the obviously the more rural areas is what we call them up here. So
Okay.
kind of give me some idea of what that's like.
Okay. Well, let's start thinking like this. When you're talking about the whole of Brazil, it's kind of talking about the whole Europe. You
Hmm.
have different countries, different cultures.
Right.
We are down on the south of
Oh,
Brazil.
okay.
Things here are extremely different, very like way different than they are at the northeast, like in Bahia or in Recife,
Okay.
the states up to the north. Okay, and of course this will influence the styles and the genres.
Hmm.
Here in Curitiba, what I see pumping up on the last 10 years maybe, it's we do have a lot of trash and glam bands.
Okay. All right.
And in other states like Santa Catarina, it's a state further down the south, they have a pretty huge scene, a pretty huge black metal scene.
Okay.
If you go to São Paulo, things starts to vary a bit. They have a lot of new metal bands, and one of my favorite bands from Brazil, it's called Project 46 from São Paulo.
Okay.
It's well, let's say kind of Slipknot. It sounds a bit like Slipknot.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
So
it's
so
a
it's
new
that
metal.
so it is actually a new new metal, new metal. Is this a new metal
Yeah.
band? Okay. Instead of it being brand new. Okay, that's that. I was looking for that distinction, but okay, I got you. The comparison to Slipknot. All right. Cool.
So I could say it's pretty wide and pretty rich. However, I guess that social media kind of killed a little bit of the bands because we used to have a lot of local festivals here in Paraná, in Santa Catarina, in other states to promote local and independent bands. But especially after the pandemic, it kind
Hmm.
of died. and kind of kill all the vibe. There are some bands still struggling. There is um, there is one band called Leviathan from Rio Grande do Sul. They've been on the road for 40 years, and I
Wow.
mean, it is a shame that it's not more well known worldwide because it's a
Hmm.
pretty good band, and just the struggle to put the music out there. Flavio, the lead singer, he has a record label that he um, kind of helps. He wants to support local bands, so he gives them a one in a lifetime deal. It's amazing the kind of effort these people go through to promote the scene.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the one word we could use to describe the metalheads here in Brazil and South America as a whole is hungry. They
Mm.
are hungry for metal.
Yes.
Mm.
See that's I that's not exactly the word I would have picked, but it kind of actually fits better than what I would have used because I just because every time I see because anytime I see a video of anything coming out of South America, whether it's Brazil or Chile or Argentina or whatever, I mean, it is just is it's an absolute frenzy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Just watching, I mean, I in some of the clips I've seen, I've paid attention more to the actual crowd than I have than like the performance on stage sometimes, and especially some of the like I say, the Iron Maiden's Flight 666, that one, and then some of the first shows I saw with the Pantera reunion were
Mm.
absolutely
Yeah.
insane.
oh
It was
yeah,
insanity. It was insanity. Some of the video footage I saw come out of there, and so hungry. I mean, hungry actually is more accurate than the word I would use. But what
I mean,
what? Go ahead.
if you think about it, like, if you ask somebody like me and you over here in the States, say, hey, name a band from Brazil. I mean, Sepultura is the only one I could probably come up with. I mean, off the top of my head. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I'm gonna look it up in a minute just to kind of see because I was already thinking about this. So I wonder if I know any of these. It just didn't realize I know some of these bands. You know what I mean? Because it does happen a lot of times. I'm like, oh, I know who that
Mm-hmm.
is, but
Sure.
I never pay
Right.
attention to where they're from a lot of times. So,
That's
so,
true. That's true.
so I was actually going to look that up in a minute to see.
But again, that's also another reason why we decided to do this show because
Mhm.
because it's not like we didn't know of metal bands outside the country. I mean,
Right.
we know I know a lot of bands from from Scandinavia even before we started the show, and we've interviewed a lot of Scandinavian bands since the show has started. But I mean, Rammstein out of
That you didn't know.
right, right. But I mean, obviously Rammstein out of Germany,
Mhm.
Scorpions out of Germany, Sabaton and Stradivarius. I mean, Sabaton's out of Sweden, Stradivarius and Sentence out of Finland. So there are bands that we knew of before, but the amount of bands that we've discovered all over the world, and again,
It's
our buddy Victor down in Peru has turned us on to some bands.
Mhm.
The one band that I can just remember right off the top of my head because a lot of the band names are in Spanish, so they kind of slip my mind. But
Right.
but um, the one band that I remember him turning me onto the most was Tren Loco and and Metal Crucifier. I remember them too now. That's actually one of the bands that he introduced us
And then
to that was in English. But
his nephew's in a band too. You remember the name of that band? I can't remember the name of
no,
it.
I can't. And Victor, if you're listening, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it. But so I do, because I remember him telling us about it, and I kicked my own ass for not remembering. So Victor, you'll have to accept my apology, and then like send us a message as a refresher. But so yeah, it's nice that we do have now we have more than one contact now that we are working together with you, Pedro, and it's awesome that we are because like I say, everything I've seen, I think that the fan base for sure down there is totally underappreciated and not knowing as much as we did before now and hopefully will in the not too distant future about the overall scene, especially with what you've told us. Hopefully everything will come together and catch up to the rest of the world. Not that sounds bad because it makes it kind of it's kind of an implication that you guys are behind the times, and that's not what I mean. I'm hoping the rest of the world catches up. Is basically what I'm saying. Gets turned on to the South American heavy metal bands and kind of catches up to that. That's what I mean. Not that South America is behind the times, is that the rest of the world is missing out, is what I'm saying. Right. So,
okay, no, I totally get it. I mean, I do hope so as well, because we are witnessing. I'm not sure if I said it right. We are. There are two great bands from Brazil that are taking over the world with their death metal, which is Crypta and Crisium.
Yep.
These two bands are waving waving the Brazilian flag and kind of putting a light beam here in the country to see that there are more metal bands, good metal bands. I mean, and it will still be a kind of a big effort for us to kind of um, show our work to the world, because you see, language is a major barrier for most of the bands here. A lot of the bands, they sing in English, but they don't really know how to speak in English.
Right.
It's weird, but it do happens.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
probably one of the most amazing things to me as a musician, to see a musician being able to sing that way. And then I talk to them, and it's like, we've talked to a few bands that have a little bit of broken English, and it was fine. We knew what they were talking about, so it wasn't a big deal. It was like, hey, we know what you're talking about. You don't have to, you don't have to reiterate. We got you. We know what you're trying to say.
The first band we talked to from Germany, the guy that we talked to, he was really worried about his English, and then he
agreed,
and he did fine. He did fine, but I like the fact that you brought up Crypta one band that we also should bring up too is Nervosa. And the great thing about Crypta, the great thing about Crypta and Nervosa is not only are they up and coming Brazilian heavy metal bands, you're talking all females across the board too.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got that to add into the mix too, which we absolutely love, because I mean women getting involved in metal, those two bands, Burning Witches, whether it's, and then here in the United States, Kitty coming back. So whether it's an all female lineup, whether it's just female fronted, when a band like that starts to make it, I mean that it's all the better for metal as a whole. So
yeah, I agree.
But to see those bands coming out of Brazil is really an amazing thing to see. And Crypta especially, they are blowing up. Crypta,
yeah,
they really are.
I mean, it's really amazing to see how far they got in such a short time. I mean, it's not right to say in a short time, because they have a long way through Nervosa, and now Crypta is kind of a spin-off band, let's say. But it's really amazing to see how many fans they're gathering around the globe. They've been in, I guess, 2 or 3 American tours and European tours, like doing gigs every now and then. And even one of the gigs, they were struck by a hurricane. I mean, even still they.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and even still they're still rolling. These girls won't quit.
No, they won't. No,
they should have wrote a song about that. Hurricane can't stop me or something. Hurricane can't stop us or something.
They might. They might.
That's it. I was looking at I was looking at a few bands here, and a couple of them did like pop with me when I was reading this. A Torture Squad was one of the first ones. I was like, oh yeah, I know who they are. So like I said, I just didn't realize those guys were from Brazil. I knew who they were. I just didn't pay attention to kind of where they were from, I guess.
Okay.
And then Angra. Angra's on here.
Angra. Yeah, that's where we got Kiko Loureiro. That's where he came from.
That's right.
That's correct.
Right. And then
Kiko, that's right.
And then Christian. I've heard of those guys. So
I did not know they were from.
I didn't either. That's why I was like,
I know they were from Brazil. Nope.
I was looking at when I was
I
looking
do.
this up. I was
Yep,
like,
I know
oh,
Christian.
okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So we know more about it than we knew we knew. I guess so.
Yeah.
Uh,
But again, that's good though, because it's there. There's not a lack of music coming out of that country in particular, but the continent as a whole. There's not a lack of music, which is good. It's just a lack of coverage.
right.
As far as we're
and
concerned, it's just a lack of coverage and availability of just the market basically being out there.
yeah, the market and also marketing.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen.
that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if I told you guys this, but I run a studio here in my city, and I see a lot of bands, metal bands, and other genres. But one of the main concerns that I have about the local metal bands that they don't really pay attention to marketing. They don't really pay attention to advertising their songs, advertising their work, and marketing is the soul of a company, and you got to
Mhm.
face your band as a company every now and then. I mean, one of the examples that I use is if marketing wasn't important, Coca-Cola wouldn't spend millions every year with commercials
Mhm.
on the Super Bowl and etc. It's really important, and I see a lot of bands neglecting it. And well, I've got to know a lot of bands that you guys will probably never heard about it because they won't put a buck on advertisement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening, Dana. I've seen Dana's in the chat now.
Yeah.
So.
Dana just showed up. What's up going on, man? Appreciate it. But yeah, that's a great example because I mean if because I mean that's literally a global company. Coca-Cola is
Mhm.
everywhere. I mean that's one of the probably most easily recognizable brands anywhere. And if they pay to advertise, everybody needs to pay to advertise. So that's actually great. That's a great example because I mean I don't even
Well, I
know. I
mean,
don't even.
like he's saying, if you got to advertise in, locally first before you get on a global
Right.
scale. If they're not advertising locally, then you can't expect anybody globally to know who you are. So, I mean,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to know your public. When we're talking about metal, it never comes to my mind to spend a lot of money on advertisement here in Brazil because I know that the majority of the people here they do not listen to heavy metal.
mhm.
But you got to take care of your garden. You got to make your
Right.
fan base at home to then make a jump to
Hmm.
other countries and um, other cities and etc. And well, you got to know the public. You got to know how to advertise, and I guess that's where the bands just quit it. I'm not gonna study about advertising. I'm not gonna study my public. Why
Yeah.
would I? I just want to
I,
play.
well, that's what I was about to say. I could tell you from experience in other aspects of entertainment that people will say, "Well, I'm the talent," you know.
Yeah,
They don't think they don't think they feel they should have to
But that
stoop,
but
stoop
yeah.
to that level. Like they're like I was like, well, hey man, if you're not going to advertise yourself, why should anybody go out and do it for you? I mean,
But yeah, I mean talent
that's the
alone
it's
is.
kind
thing.
of like going back to what I was saying before. If we're not going to shows, like if I say Royal Rage comes here, we don't go to the show, then what kind of people are we to try to push these guys further
Hmm.
than what they are if we're not supporting them? You know what I mean? I mean
Right.
that's what we're doing this for. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of like goes hand in hand with the bands too. If the bands aren't willing to take time out and promote their stuff, then I mean nobody's gonna
Come on podcasts and stuff like that.
you're gonna see the same 15 faces in the crowd every week. So it's like
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean that's just a horrible horrible reality. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you're totally right. You got to put in the effort to advertise your brand. I mean, whenever, even if you don't don't think that you're selling something, you are selling something.
Hmm.
When you're doing art, when you're releasing a new CD, you're selling an idea, and you got to make a little bit of propaganda to gather public, to gather your clients. I don't like to call clients because the relationship that music builds, it's
Yeah.
way different than a commercial
Right.
establishment.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You're selling a product. You're making music. It is a product.
Well, it's just like
Absolutely. Absolutely is.
just like here, we know who you guys are now. So if we ever see Royal Rage on a marquee anywhere, we're going like, oh fuck yeah, we're gonna go see those guys. So I mean,
Amazing.
Yeah.
so and that's the thing I'm saying. Like, we do research. We do we do our
Yes, we do.
weekly research to figure out albums to listen to and stuff like that. And then sometimes we get 3 or 4 in more than what we were originally going to, so that helps sometimes. But initially we say, hey, we're going to listen to this. Chris is going to listen to this. We're going to do a write up on it, on our website, and then or on our socials, and then if we like it that well, we reach out to the band and say, hey man, we love
That's
that
right.
man, love you to come on the show and talk about it, and
Amazing.
especially, and like I said, especially with you guys, like and I ain't gonna try to like say anything about future shows, but I am talking to another band,
That's right.
another country that we've never talked to, so this is awesome to do this.
Yeah, we've always got, irons in the fire, lines in the water, whatever euphemism you want to use. I mean, we're all like, because we do this every week, with the exception of a couple times a year where we go on vacation. But we
Okay.
figure we probably got 48 shows a year, so that between the two of us, that's 96 albums, if not at minimum. So we're reaching out to bands on a weekly basis. Sometimes we're getting answers, sometimes we aren't. Sometimes the invitations get accepted, sometimes they don't. But I mean, it's like Jason said, we are always, ever since going back to the day we started this thing. I mean, I'm listening to new music more than I'm listening to like Machine Head and Exodus and stuff like that. I'm almost always listening to something new. I was listening to both of your guys' albums all week. I would listen to Evolve, then I would listen to Conquer, then I would listen to Evolve, then I would listen to Conquer, and I was
Amazing.
so I was like back and forth and all week in preparation for the show. So I mean, with the rare exception, I don't think I've listened to anything but Royal Rage all week. So,
Oh my, that's so awesome.
and I'm not complaining in any respect. But what I'm saying is like having this show to do, and getting to talk to, and especially like this year alone, the amount of bands we've talked to, we've had to dedicate more time to that particular band in preparation for shows. So on top of everything else that we're doing, with all of the other research we're doing, all the new music we're discovering, we're having to do the extra prep to to be respectful to a guest. So it's been amazing. It really has.
It kind of reminded me. I can't remember who the guest was, but I remember we were talking about something similar to this, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just got a message saying we had 50 new listens this week on Spotify." And I said, "Well, I mean, 10 of them was probably me because I'm researching for the show.
If I remember correctly, if I remember right, I think that was Ari. So
it could have been.
I think it was Ari when we were talking to him. They're from the Reality Machine.
That's pretty.
All right, so Pedro, to back up a little bit, tell us about how the band came together, because Royal Rage wasn't the initial name of the band. So kind of like walk us through how like the band came together, and then like how we got to now, and with the band being called Royal Rage now. So
Okay, let's do this. All right, so the band was, I guess that the embryo was formed during the school years. I had a couple of friends that they play. One of them played drums, the other one played bass, and we would gather in my parents' garage to just jam and play some Black Sabbath and Black Label Society. That's the kind of thing that we were into on those days. And we, at first, we were not thinking about making our own music. We just wanted to jam. But then all of a sudden, riffs they start to pop up, and then we said, "Hey, we are maybe starting to compose something. Maybe we need a name. Maybe we should record something. And then names started to get thrown on the table. I remember that one of the options that we had at the time was Double Tap because of the movie Zombieland.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, but none of the names really was really catchy. We really I don't know. None of the names that we were throwing at the table felt right until one day, me and the drummer we were playing some video games and remembering about the old days where we used to have arcades here in Brazil. And one of the games in the arcades that we really loved to play was Rampage.
Oh yeah, I remember that
The
game.
one of the most,
I
you
remember that
know,
game. Hell yeah.
yeah, the monsters destroying the
Uh-huh.
city. It was
Yep.
super fun.
Hell yeah, I remember that.
And while we were talking about that one arcade in specific, we were having a drink of Royal Salute, and then all of a sudden it just hit Royal Rampage,
Nice.
and it felt right. I mean, it's a cool name, and we stuck to that name for a while, but when we got to the let's say to the bureaucratic part, bureaucracy. I'm not sure.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, we
Uh,
got you. Yeah.
okay. We had to make kind of a registration, and it came back denied because there was another company called Rampage that they would promote concerts in another
Mm.
part of Brazil.
Oh,
They already
okay.
had the
Right.
register, so we had to switch, and we were then again throwing other names. We already had a logo done, and we had this kind of R's that were facing out each other. You
Mm-hmm.
probably saw it on one
Oh
of
yeah.
the posts
Oh
on
yeah.
Instagram.
Oh, we're gonna show it. So
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Okay,
it's,
so we didn't want to change the name to something too different because the identity was already formed, and the one name that sounded the most right and most close to Royal Rampage was Royal Rage, and we kind of went with it just because it was a decision that had to be made to
Okay.
register the band's name. And well, to be honest, I think it's way better now. Not that I didn't like Royal Rampage, but a lot of people here in Brazil couldn't pronounce Rampage.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Okay, and Rage is easier for everybody to say.
yeah,
sure.
that makes sense.
Well, I mean, well, what exactly would that have translated to in Portuguese anyway?
Royal Rage.
Okay.
You mean the name Royal Rage?
Right. Yeah, because you were talking. Well, because you were talking about how people couldn't pronounce rampage, but like, what would that have translated to in
How
Portuguese?
would they pronounce it? Okay.
Yeah.
Royal Rampage would almost every time be pronounced as Royal Rampage,
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
and the new name is Royal Rage, and well, it's kind of similar, but Rampage
Yeah.
was, I mean, too terrifying for us to hear it.
Okay. All right.
Quit sharing my name, God.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
You
So,
know,
so
it was difficult even for us to pronounce it. At this one day, I realized it. I got to meet Bob Blitz from Overkill,
yes.
and
oh,
we were having a chat, and I told him that I had a band, and he said, "What's the name?" I said, "Royal Rampage." And he was like, What? Rampage?" And then I had to spell it, and then he pronounced it in a whole different way, a New Yorker way, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh shit, I can't pronounce my own band's name. That's bad. That's really bad."
So,
well,
so
so before we get off target here, I just want to let
okay.
you
Yeah.
know that we go to an arcade here that still has Rampage in the
Yep.
arcade. So
Yes, we do.
Amazing,
Yep.
amazing.
when you brought that up, I was like, oh, we have that at the arcade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. So, so was when was has English been a second language for you for a long time?
um, Yeah, quite a long time.
Okay.
My parents, they were really concerned about it since a young age. I remember that they started learning English when I was 10.
Okay.
I had to go to English class, like on uh, the activities, extracurricular activities.
Extracurricular, yeah, extracurricular.
Yeah,
Yes, I got you. Okay.
that's right. Okay, so I had that since I was 10, and I
Okay.
was going to a lot of different English schools here in Brazil. Some were good, some were bad. But when I turned 15, my parents decided that it was time for me to really level up my English. So they sent me to Canada, and that's where I really improved my skills.
Okay.
However, if there are any musicians watching us, you do know that if you stop practicing for a bit, you will get rusty, and that's how it is with my English.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not it's not a thing that I use every day, but
Mm.
once I start, you know, putting some oil on it, it will eventually
Right. Yeah.
get better, right?
Yeah.
How difficult was that for you to learn the language? Was it a difficult process or?
Um, I I remember it was mostly fun. I've always been into video games, and one of the games that I really was into was Zelda, The Legend of
That's
Zelda
the
from
that. Oh my god.
SNES,
Oh my god.
and it's
That's
the kind of
that's my favorite Nintendo game.
really.
That's
Oh,
my
let me show
favorite
you.
one.
Ah,
Uh-oh, here we
let,
go.
let me strip of it. Shit.
Dana, this one's for you, but probably, bud.
Okay, let's. Ah, oh shit, you can see. Ah, I can see my arm. There you go.
Oh,
Okay.
there
Majora's
you
Mask.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, you can
Very
see
nice.
it.
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's badass.
So this is the kind of game that you won't get through the game if you do not know how to read English.
Yep.
Oh.
I remember that there was probably around 10 or 11. I was still starting to learn English, and I would play video games with a dictionary on the side, writing down what I saw on the screen, and then trying to translate with the dictionary to develop through the game. So for me, going to the English class and learning a bit more, it was a fun process because the things that I liked, the things that I really wanted to do, it started to get how to say simpler, easier
Hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
to understand.
Yeah.
It was a fun process.
Reason I bring
Yeah.
it up because I got some friends that speak a couple different languages, and they always said that it was harder for them because there was so much slang terms within the English language for certain words. So when they were saying certain words, other people didn't know what they were saying because that word meant so many different things here.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's a big thing for most people anyway.
Yeah.
So
And
I
not to
mean,
mention
even for us sometimes, because sometimes I'm just like, wait, are you saying, are you like being sarcastic, or are you actually saying,
right, yeah.
it's like, which word are you using? It's like,
Yeah. And
uh,
Yeah.
not to mention all the dumbass grammatical rules that there
oh yeah,
supposedly are in
oh
this language that we don't even follow ourselves. Yeah. So it
Yeah, I
doesn't make
totally
any
get
sense.
it. I
Yeah.
mean, and what you said about the cultural difference when learning a language, it really do makes a lot of sense because you know, there is a term here in Brazil that if we translate to English, it will be like I had to take it out of my ass, uh, something something like that. Oh, you need to pay me like $5,000. I had to pull it out of my ass then.
right.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay,
that one gets used here too. Yeah.
okay, yeah, something
One
like
gets you.
that. And there is
Yeah.
this one friend of mine that she's married to a Japanese guy, and the first time that he heard that, he do speaks Portuguese, but the first time that he heard that, he was really confused because like he was trying to understand why would someone have 5,000K up their asses? Like, why would you keep the money there?
Yeah,
He really
yeah,
couldn't understand sarcasm.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, he
yeah,
did. Yeah, they did. It's like, yeah, don't take that literally, bud. We don't walk around with money in our butts.
yeah.
And
It was hard for him to understand.
Chris's aunt Amy there was talking about the idioms. Of course, I think she's a teacher
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
so
Oh yeah,
Of course that, of course that, of course it's kind of funny that she mentions that because like, hey, look, I can't pull $5,000 out of my ass. That's an idiom. So I mean, it's kind of
right.
so
Yeah.
so yeah, it's kind of ironic that she said that when she did. So all right, so let me ask you this:
yep.
how long were you in Canada, and were you there during the winter?
Yeah, I was there for 6 months, and yes, I was there during the winter.
Oh,
I lived in a city called Saskatoon.
Oh yeah,
You
oh yeah,
probably
yeah,
heard
oh yeah,
about it.
Saskatoon. You been Saskatoongas?
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh
I mean,
yeah.
at the time I was 15, and I gotta say,
No.
I'm really slow to read signs, so no shenanigans for me during my Canadian time. But but it was a pretty cool both ways experience because you see, we don't have snow here in Brazil.
Right.
One
That's
of the
why.
things that I
That's why I
really
wanted. That's why I was wondering if you were there during the winter.
yeah, this is one of the things that I wanted to experience. And when it came to the time to decide to which city I was going, I said I want to go to a city that I will see snow most certainly. And then
Hmm.
they said, well, there's this town called Saskatoon. The weather is cold.
Horrible. Yeah.
I said, how
Horrible.
cold? Oh, it's minus 30 Celsius cold. That's the one I'm
That's
going.
cold. Yeah, that's cold. Yeah. Did you? Yeah. Did you? Did anybody take you to any hockey games while you were up there?
Yeah, I got to watch a lot of hockey games at the Saskatoon Stadium,
Nice.
but I didn't get to play any because I really couldn't ice skating. I was horrible at it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Same. I wouldn't have the balance for that.
Right. Yeah. Well,
I mean, I really
I'm.
tried.
Yeah. No,
I
that's
really
cool though.
tried, but I didn't
That's
have
cool
the
that you
hang. I
tried.
didn't got the hang of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you probably would have stayed longer, you probably would have had more of a chance. I'm originally from just outside of Detroit, so I've played hockey most of my life. So, but I and my dad's side of the family originally came to the United States from Canada, so it kind of like it kind of kind of tracks. So, but
Okay.
but so according to Encyclopedia Metallum,
Mm.
the lineup for the band has been consistent ever since the start, except for one former member, uh, who replaced Rodrigo in the band.
Well, who replaced Rodrigo first was Luis and then Saul. And well, I gotta say the lineup was not consistent. The only member
Oh,
that
okay.
stayed through the beginning of the band to this day is me. I mean,
Oh, so you're the only original member.
yeah.
Okay, all right. So then that whole page is all off. Okay,
Well,
but
Ayrton.
that kind of makes sense because because when we were first talking about Spotify, I actually went to your guys' page on Spotify,
Okay.
and there's a funny thing on here that I love beneath the picture of you guys. It says we are pretty much like Megadeth. No one lasts more than 6 months in this band, which I think
Oh,
is.
that was that's right. That was them.
I
Yeah.
think that's hilarious. So so
Yeah,
it actually makes sense.
you see the. I guess it was when we were releasing our second video clip. One of the guys, I don't know from who that was, but he commented something like that. This band changes members more than I change my underwear. And to which I replied, I gotta let the members go, prior to 3 months because then I don't have to pay fees for firing them. Something like that. And I said, okay, well, let's make the most out of this joke because we had a lot of comings and goings in the band. It's really hard to maintain a band when you're not making a buck out of it.
That's true.
And I mean, I'm dealing with a lot of old musicians, not old musicians, but well experienced musicians.
Yeah.
And okay, and wow, I had some bad experience, some good experience. Some people were easy to deal with, others were not.
Sure.
And one of the things that I really do appreciate when people join the band is, are you and a good listener? Because there will be criticism towards your music playing, towards your style. There will always be good criticism, bad criticism
Mhm.
from the band, from the fans, and you gotta be able to hear that and to make the best out of that. If you're not a good listener, then we are gonna have problems.
Hmm.
And and then there is this other issue that well, pretty much all the Brazilians have. They are always late.
Oh.
And this is one of the things that I really can't bear. I mean, we had a bass player for a while that he would get to the rehearsal like 30 minutes after we already start practicing. It
Oh
was
man.
just unbearable. Always a different excuse, like, oh, I had to take my fish for a bath. Something super weird. He would say the most bizarre excuses, and we were like, okay, we gotta let this guy go because he's holding us back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well,
Now I'm
this is
picturing.
I'm,
Now I'm actually picturing a guy bathing a fish.
I'm doing my own 23 and me here. I'm like, okay, so now I'm at least 10% Brazilian because I'm always late. Uh, uh,
Dana, have a good night, buddy. Appreciate it.
uh,
Hey, just something real quick. Jason,
yeah,
did
sure.
you notice when Pedro put his th- thumbs up thing, that little thing, that little bubble popped up next to his head? Did you see that shit?
Like that.
Yeah. What the hell?
oh wow!
Did you see that? What the hell is that?
I did not see that.
Is that
So
a
just
stream?
now,
Is that a StreamYard thing?
I I'm not
Wait a
sure,
minute.
but
Hold,
I
let me do
get.
it.
no.
No, it didn't do it on
I
my.
guess it's an iPhone thing, to
Oh,
be
it could
honest.
be.
It must be because I saw that. I was like, "What the hell just?" I was like, "What is that?" So
That's pretty
no,
cool.
I like that though. I like that though. But I didn't know. I
Okay.
didn't know, Jason. I didn't know if you saw that or not. I was like, "Is that a new thing that
I
we get to
didn't.
do on this show?" But
I did when
Am I
he.
tripping?
Yeah.
Am I tripping? Did you see that thumbs up? Yeah, yeah.
It was
First
like
time I
no,
saw it was weird as well.
so we don't even do drugs, man. Like, what the
we don't.
fuck?
No, we do not.
And since we're talking about band members, I think one of the things that stuck out when I listened to Evolve was the drumming. So, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
is his name pronounced Tiago or Tiago? How does he pronounce his name?
Yeah. Well, the Brazilian way to pronounce is Thiago,
Tiago.
but
Okay. Well, there you
yeah,
go. I learned something.
Thiago is fine.
Okay.
Thiago is fine.
so
Okay.
anyway, it's like when I was listening to this, I know like I try to like listen to something that kind of sticks out to me a lot of times, and
Okay.
because I'll go through and I'll listen to it like the first time, and I'm like, okay, I'm really digging this. So now I got to tear it apart and see what I
Right.
like or what
You
I
break.
don't like.
You break it down.
I
Yep.
break it down to see how to rate this album fairly. So I listened, we listened to it 3-4 times probably,
Mm-hmm.
and be like, oh, this is good. I was like, oh, this is badass. So I'll try to like pick it apart. Certain songs, something. Not saying every song sticks out, but certain songs would stick out to me with guitars or drums or what. But with this thing, man, I don't know what he's on. If he's like just on like a Red Bull IV or something, like I don't know. But like, dude, I'm sitting there listening to this, going, how is this dude? How is this possible? Like this dude is just beating the shit out of these things, man. It's like, I'm like, man, I was loving it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, man, this guy's talented as shit, dude. Because I don't see
Mhm.
how he's like going this fast. Like,
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and it's
you got
sad
to see him
because
live. That's amazing.
oh
Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt
no,
you,
no,
but
no, no, you're perfect. You're perfect. So
seeing his performance live is something that always takes. It's kind of gay to say that, but takes my breath away. It's amazing to see his performance because he got so much energy every time he beats the snare and the cymbals. I mean, almost every gig that we do, he ends up with a broken cymbal because he hit it so hard and so
Damn.
fast every time. Yeah, he's a monster.
yeah,
That's
I think
what we say. Not just because of the gym shape, like a
mm,
monster shape, but he's so ferocious. I'm not sure if that's even a word, but
It
he
is. It is voracious.
okay. Uh, he's pretty much like Eloy Casagrande. I've seen some
Yep.
I've seen some interviews of the guitarist from Slipknot, Jim Root,
Hmm.
saying that Eloy, when he joined the band, he would start practicing at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and end up practicing at 10 p.m., something like that.
Yeah.
Like all day eating drums and beating things and studying. Tiago it's pretty much the same as Eloy. And funny fact, he joined a Slipknot cover band here in the city
oh
at the same
Oh,
time
nice.
that
Okay.
Eloy joined Slipknot,
oh
and
that's great.
That's cool.
they had new pictures done. And one of the members they said, "Oh, he's like Eloy, but it's not because Casagrande means big house." Okay,
Right.
Mm.
Yep.
he said he's like Eloy, but he's not Casagrande. He's a kitnet, like it's a small apartment. And
Okay.
and the joke stick. It was super funny to see because all of the metal websites and the metal news pages were were talking about the Eloy Kitnet that joined the
I
Slipknot
like it.
cover band here in Brazil. It was super funny to
I
see
like it.
how that silly joke just took over the heavy metal scene here in Brazil. It was pretty fun to see.
That's
But
that's that's good
he's
stuff.
a very dedicated drummer. That's what I can like resume to summarize it. He's a
Yeah.
very dedicated musician.
Well,
He
De-
spends
de-
most of his time.
dedicated and I'm assuming punctual.
Oh yeah, he is. He's always here. He's out. He always shows up to the rehearsal earlier than he's supposed to.
If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd say speaking musically, there was one thing out of everything. There was one thing off of each album that stuck out to me the most was on Conquer. It was the drums on Rise. Not I'm sorry, not the drums on Rise. It was the guitars on Rise, which were phenomenal. I don't know
No,
like
thank you.
where those guitar parts came from. Like Pedro, I don't know if you wrote those guitar parts or what, but the guitar parts on Rise off the Conquer album stuck out to me. And then on the Evolve album, what stuck out to me the most out of everything was I believe it was the lead into the chorus on Your Brain Will Fall.
Mm.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic. Like the cadence of the lead before going into the chorus, absolutely loved it. I thought it was great the
Oh,
way
awesome.
I haven't heard, not right off the top of my head have I heard a lyric at that cadence, and I thought it was phenomenal. So those were the two things that stuck out to me the most. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Jason said, there was so much great stuff. But I mean, as far as like I said, because like I told you, I listened to one, then I listened to the other, then I listened to. I was back and
Okay.
forth all week, so things start to stand out. And then listening to Conquer, it's like when I got towards the end and Rise came on, it's like God, those guitars are just phenomenal. And then same thing with Your Brain Will Fall. It's like just the pacing of that one line leading into the chorus is like that stuck out and that stuck out, and those are the two things that are predominantly right there at the top of the list, respectively, from one album to the next. So
Well,
very, very,
awesome.
very well done.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned Rise because it was really one of the first songs that I ever wrote for the band. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, well, there are some songs that we didn't re-release because we ended up recording, but we thought it was too bad to go to the first album, and we kind of just put it back on the drawer, and we'll probably never see the light of the day again. But
Okay.
Rise was one of the songs that I thought it was really worth to make a do over, like trying to improve. I did create a new riff before putting it on the album, but this Rise, I do believe that I wrote this song back in 2012, and
Wow.
then only on 2018 we released it. It's funny you mentioned like the guitars because when I wrote it, I thought it was pretty raw. Like it felt for me that it was missing something. But as a son of a perfectionist mother, you are
Yep.
always trying to improve everything that you do, and sometimes you don't even realize that it's good enough. I mean, thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's one of the songs that it's kind of underrated for us in the band. We don't
Wow.
play it live anymore.
When he hung on to it in 2012, didn't release it till 2013. So he was waiting until 12/21/12, and then he was like, "Okay, we're good." So, so, but I am gonna like get a picture of me in an arm sling, and you can share it with Thiago and tell him that I did that doing air drums too. One of the songs. I was
Okay, okay.
broke his
yeah,
forearm on
yeah.
on the air
On
symbol.
the air symbol, yeah. Yeah. So, I was like some things you just listen to and you're like, man, I wouldn't even try to attempt that as an air drum. Like, a lot of times you get carried away and you're like, yeah, but nah, I ain't
Yeah,
even gonna attempt that.
some
So
like yeah.
that's up there with that Thomas Hake bleed drumming right there. So
No,
All right.
that shit's just otherworldly right there. That is just
yeah,
that's just otherworldly. But
octopus legs or something. I'm just like,
or
how the hell are they
something
like
like that.
hitting that many bass drums? Like, what the hell?
So Pedro is the reason why, because you were talking about when the band first started about how you guys weren't really writing or anything at first. Is that the reason why you guys went from 2010 to 2018 before having anything come out? Or I mean, was it like the turnover in the band? I mean, was it a combination of a bunch of different things? I mean, you guys were 8 years in before Conquer even came out.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the main reasons because when you're just hanging around with your friends playing some covers from Black Sabbath and etc., um, this is one thing. And then you are trying to make your own music and being a professional band. The scenario changes like 180 degrees.
Right. Yeah.
It it's a completely different way to view your band, and like pretty much the whole band went off when we changed the main goal of the band.
Hmm.
So it was 2011 that we decided to make our own music, and we did a demo. And 2012, the band fell apart, and I was on my own
Okay.
um, for a brief while. And then I don't really remember what I was doing there, but it was at a studio of a friend of mine, and probably I was getting my guitar fixed, something like that. And he said, "Well, I met this drummer in the army, and he's pretty good, and you got to check him out." And I started talking to Tiago Geiger, the former drummer. Funny enough, it's the same name.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And I started talking to Geiger, and I said that I was looking for musicians to get back with the project and showed up a few references. I remember sending him some Exodus songs, Creator, um, some Slayer, maybe Overkill, and he was really
all great
into
bands.
death. Yeah, I mean, and he was really into death. He
Sure.
was,
Oh yeah.
he was a really big fan of Gene Hoglan. And I remember asking him, "Is there any videos of you?" This is pre-Instagram era, okay?
Right.
There
Yeah.
was there were not a lot of videos of people playing on Instagram. So it was like, "Is there any videos of you on YouTube, or can we schedule a rehearsal, something like that?" And he promptly responded with, "Oh, I just recorded this video. If you if you want, you can check it out." And it was him playing the Symbolic album in its entirety, non-stop
Damn.
on the drums. But the most amazing thing is he didn't had a drum throne. It was a plastic chair, like the ones you see on the beach. You know, the
Wow.
the one move that moves
Okay.
a lot, and he was playing like so fast and so precise. It was amazing to see. Like I said, "Dude, what happened to your drum throne?" I said, "Yeah, I don't have money to get one, so I'm improvising with this chair, but one day I'll get it." And I was just amazed, like, this is unbelievable. This dude rocks. And then the band started really working on the new material. For I believe 6 months, it was just me and Tiago, and then we found Ayrton, which is our bass player.
Hmm.
I was having some guitar classes in this school, and I ended up meeting him. He joined the band, and later on, Rodrigo came in. But well, unfortunately, Thiago couldn't keep up with us because he suffered an accident. He was
Oh
hit
man.
by a truck, and it
Jesus
was
Christ.
it was just horrible. You see, he was going back home in his skateboard, and the truck didn't see him and made a turn, and he couldn't stop, so he jumped and tried to hold on to the truck. While he was holding up, one of his arms was kind of pulled away, and it
Wow.
was just barely hanging by
Oh
some
man.
tissue. It was horrible. Like his right leg was all beaten up because of the wheel that was
Mhm.
Yeah.
turning on, and
Yeah.
when the truck finally stopped, he fell on his back and broke the four of the
The ver- the
medulla,
the
the
vertebrae.
vertebrae. Yeah,
Yeah.
the vertebrae.
Gee.
C1 to C4. He broke them, and all the ribs. I mean, it was horrible. Um, he was attended by the paramedics, but on the way to the hospital, he clinically died for 2 minutes and then got resuscitated,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
1 week in coma and a whole year to get back to his feet. And that happened before the album getting recorded. He was the one recording the drums for the first album.
Mm.
After all
Okay.
of this happening, it was surreal to see, but at the same time, it was painful because he would have a session, record drums, and then take some morphine, and then record it again,
Ah.
more morphine. He couldn't bear the pain, so we had to let him go for his own safety.
Mm.
Right.
It was a really hard talk to have because we were very close friends, and I could see in his eyes that he didn't want to let go,
Hmm.
but we were killing him,
Right.
literally.
Yeah. Did he? I mean, was he able to finally like recover from everything?
Yeah, he was. I mean, now he lives a full life. He has a few mobility problems. If I do remember correctly, he is unable to feel touch in this area because of the
Mhm.
reconstitution that they had to do in his arm. He almost lost his right arm.
Yeah.
and he is unable to do this movement with his arm.
Oh, so he doesn't have
Otherwise,
that.
it
He
will.
doesn't have that range of motion anymore. Okay.
Yeah,
Damn,
So he
man,
was
that
he was
sucks.
almost a Def Leppard story then, man. It sounds like.
I mean, yeah, almost.
almost.
That's
Damn.
that's horrible, dude. But I mean, thankfully he's okay. I mean,
Yeah, I mean
that's the main
that's the main
thing.
thing. But
Yeah, he's
still,
okay, and he still hangs at the concerts.
Oh,
Every
that's
now and then that we have a concert, he goes there and cheer up. He's an amazing friend, an amazing musician, and
that's
it's
good. I
always
mean,
good to see him in the crowd, uh, supporting us and
yeah.
singing the songs that he wrote, because a lot of the songs
Right.
from the
Yeah.
first a lot of the songs from the first album he wrote after getting uh, getting up from the coma.
Mm.
You know,
Okay. All right.
and one of the songs that I do remember was Reborn.
Well, that
His
makes sense.
perspective about getting back to the world,
Mhm.
and Far Cry from Death. It's if I do remember correctly, Far Cry from Death is the song that he wrote, like kind of the perspective that he had while he was in coma.
Mm, that
Mm.
makes
Well,
sense. That makes sense.
Mm. You're getting everything with the story for Royal Rage here, man. You're
Yeah.
just getting the
Oh
good,
yeah.
the bad,
Absolutely.
and everything here, man.
Well, speaking of speaking of inspiration for songs,
okay.
was there a real world inspiration for "If I Don't See You This Christmas," or was it just kind of like a general
Yeah.
topic for that song?
No. No. That was my story. I I I lost my parents to cancer. Um, something about 10 years ago.
Oh man, sorry about
Um,
that.
no, that's okay. Thank you. But you see, my mother had breast cancer, and
Mm.
she was fighting the cancer for probably 7 years, and then my father got diagnosed with pancreas cancer, but it was already on
Yeah,
stage 4.
yeah.
And when we got the notice, the doctor said, "Well, I'm sorry to say, but he won't make it to Christmas."
Ah, okay,
And
okay.
he didn't. He died in October, if I do remember right. It was uh, the eighth, oh, October 8th,
Oh,
and a year later, my mother passed away
oh,
Mm.
all right.
on the same month. It was
Oh,
Oh,
weird.
okay, all right.
It was
Well,
weird.
damn, I shit. I'm sorry for
No,
for
that's okay.
bringing that up. I'm
That's
sorry about that.
no, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. It's one of the stories that I really like to talk about, because it's kind of makes the pain easier
mm.
to feel and to share. I mean, I remember writing this song, and a few months after that, I was presented to Emperor of Sand from Mastodon,
Oh,
Okay.
and I remember that I heard that album, and it 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 spoke to me in a way that I couldn't really understand. I was drawn to that album. I was listening to it day and night, and every song was. It felt like the album was reaching out to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't really understand why. But then I watched the documentary about the making of Emperor of Sand.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that album was made by the members, and all of them were pouring their emotions about losing someone to cancer, because all of them had experienced losing someone to cancer or dealing with the disease.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me felt surreal. Like it was really unbelievable, the connection that music provided to me, because
Yep.
I released a song. I just wrote a song about losing my parents to cancer, and a whole album about that theme was connecting to me so hardly. And it was weird at the beginning, because
Sorry.
I'm not a no, that's okay. I'm not a Mastodon fan, you know.
Right.
It
That's
was my
well.
first.
That's kind of like one of the ironies of music is like something like that will kind of like reach out and resonate with you, and
Yeah,
you're from a place you wouldn't expect. So it's kind of weird that that kind of stuff happens. You know, it's a very
yeah,
ironic thing.
Yeah,
and
but to put it into, I guess, a perspective that if it was me and my kids were in a band, and even if I died before the song came out, I would be looking down going, man, I'm so proud that I was able to inspire them to do something great. You know what I mean? So that's just my perspective. So hopefully,
no,
you did something your parents can look down and definitely be proud that they're a part of. So
well, thank you. I really do hope that they are proud because it was hard for me to go through the idea. Tiago was the one pushing me, saying, "You must do that. You really have to. You should do that because it's a way to honor their memory
Hmm.
through through your art." And it was a big relief releasing that music because it
Right.
felt like taking all of this weight out of my back
Hmm.
mhm.
and
It's a catharsis.
finally
Yeah.
letting go of yeah, finally letting go of the pain. Catharsis,
Yeah.
that's the word.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was inspired by true events.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Well,
some of the best songs are. I mean,
yeah, they are.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about one of my favorites that's based on a true events is the Lamb of God. The where he went to jail and stuff. So
512.
yeah, 512. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's I hear that song and just knowing that's what it's about, it's just like, man, that's freaking just like it just touches you in a way, especially when you know what it's about. You know what I mean? 'Cause a lot of
Right.
times, music that we talk about a lot of times where music, I'll hear something and I'll take it in a different perspective than Chris will, hearing the
Sure.
same song. And that's what's
Yeah.
great about music is you can kind of make it relate to what you're feeling, and that's what's so good
Or
about
some. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
music in general. But when like you come out and hey, this is what this song's about, and you know that, and you hear that, and you're just like, man, that's freaking crazy just to
yeah,
Hmm.
hear that. So I'll probably listen to that song now from you guys in a whole different way now because because I know kind of the inspiration it was written
Right.
with. So
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, speaking. Well, all right. Well, speaking of, I have like a kind of have like a two-part question about this next song.
okay,
Now, on the Conquer album, track three, Solis, Solis.
okay,
Uh, First of all, what does that stand for? And
okay,
second of all, that if I remember correctly, that song had like at the beginning of it, it kind of had like it had like the intro was like tuning through radio stations or TV stations.
yeah,
Okay, were those actual like local, like was that local? Did you
yeah.
get like you could oh okay, so those were like Brazilian, was it radio stations or TV shows or something?
Yeah, you see, the very first thing that you hear on Solus is a song called O Guarani,
Mm-hmm.
and this song is the one tune that goes on the radio at 6 p.m. And all the radios in Brazil they broadcast the same thing called the Brazilian time. It's called Hora do Brasil, and
Okay.
it's pretty much a journal talking about what is going on in the country.
Okay.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to do a parody because we were
Okay.
starting to live, we were just entering in this pretty bizarre political scenario that we are into now. I
Okay.
mean, there are no more we don't see any more spaces to discuss ideas. Like um, you could be pro-abortion or you could be against abortion,
Right.
and we could discuss the points of view back then. Now we
Right.
cannot.
Nope.
It's weird to see how how extreme people are taking into consideration the
Yep.
opinions of others. Like, oh, you're pro-abortion, so you're far left. Oh, you're against abortion, so you're far right. And it was weird to see the movement starting. That's why I wanted to do the parody. And the I also did it as kind of an intro to the next song called "Feed the Herd,"
Right.
because this one song I wrote specifically talking about people who have either pet politicians or pet religious leaders. They kind
Hmm.
of go uh, to the mass. Is that how you say mass?
To the
Where
masses, the
the
large group of people. Yeah. To the masses.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
okay. They go to the mass and feed them to whatever crap they want to, and
Yep.
they start spitting it out. That's what I wanted to say with feed the herd. That's why
Makes sense.
Solis
Okay.
comes right before that. And
Okay. Okay. So then, what did the acronym stand for? The Solus. What did it stand for?
oh, I remember that I took this word out of um, I forgot the name of the language, Latin.
Uh
I,
huh.
I took it out from Latin, and Solis mean um, like to do it every Sunday, something like that.
Okay. 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 Because I was trying to figure it out from the song. I was like, I'm just gonna have to ask him. It's like I couldn't figure it
Okay.
out. I was like, I'm just gonna
I
have to ask him.
remember that at the time I sorted out the acronym. I had a meaning to each of the letters, but I lost the noting and pretty much forgot what I was writing then.
Okay.
Because
That's fine.
all
That's
right,
fine.
because I got the word solace. I said, okay, let's make it an acronym and let's pull up. And I remember that I really started saying something like somos, like we are uh, we are behind the the advance. We are behind the politicians, something like that.
Okay.
But
All right.
I can't make sense of it right now. Sorry.
Okay. That's all right. I mean, we still kind of know where the inspiration came from.
Okay.
Um, in the chat, real quick. This is not for you, Pedro. Panda 4878. Your question is slightly confusing the way you have it worded. If you're still listening, could you resubmit it? Because I'm kind of confused as to what you're trying to ask. Um, okay, so all right, so that's fine. Now, you said you own a studio there. Am I safe in the assumption that that's where you are right now? Because that kind of looks like you're at your studio.
Yeah, that is right. I'm at the studio right now.
Nice. Okay. How long have you owned the studio?
Well, this studio was founded on in 2020,
Okay.
right before the pandemic started.
Sure.
But I bought the studio on 2022,
Okay. So
and
so
yeah,
you owned it for a couple of
So,
years now.
so you kind of brought this up, so I kind of wanted to kind of get your take on it since I actually had to ask this a few times with bands because being in certain parts of the world, it's all different. So how did the COVID pandemic affect you guys down there?
oh, it was pretty bad. I
Was
mean,
it pretty bad?
at the time we had a leader that really didn't take didn't take the disease seriously, and as I just said, we were living on a very bizarre political moment that
Mhm.
people would assume everything a certain politician say would be true, and he would have his minions, how we would call it.
Mhm.
And in certain periods of the COVID, our former president, he would come up to the press and say, "This is nothing but a silly flu. It will be gone in a month or two." And he really wouldn't um, take the disease seriously, even though there were people dying. He would just like give his shoulders and say, "Yeah, what can I do? I'm not a grave digger."
Oh,
he
Jesus,
would
that's
say,
not. Yeah,
"Yeah,
that's not how you want to. That's not what
Wow.
you want to say. No.
yeah." He would literally say things like that, and it was just horrible. There are people who there was people defending him, saying, "No, that's not what he meant." And even nowadays, with the um, with the not the former president, the uh, how do you say it? The president that is ruling Brazil right now. I
Oh,
forgot the word, but
the current president.
yeah, the current president. That thank you.
Yeah.
Even with the current president, there are people uh, trying to defend every word that he say. But well, back in the pandemic, it was pretty rough because we were facing a lot of um, deaths, of course,
Hmm.
but there were a lot of people just not giving a fuck about the disease and walking down the streets and going to the supermarket and not wearing masks because they didn't feel like it. It
Yeah.
was rough times. And I remember that at the time my son was 3.
Hmm.
So and he already had some respiratory diseases. So we
Oh,
didn't really want to take any chances.
sure. Yeah.
And and we got locked up in our house, and it was tough because when you see don't get me wrong, I love my family. They are the most important thing for me in the world, but it's rough to live with kids and work, and you kind of lose track of the routine. They are everywhere in the house. We were
Oh yeah.
super stressed, but we got through.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pandemic was rough here because well, it just felt like nobody was really giving a fuck
Hmm.
while we were burying our loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's I actually talked about this earlier with a friend of mine. That they were talking about that was one of the things that kept them from voting one way or the other back in our last election. And I said, well, that's the misconception with here in the United States. It's like when you're trying to combat something health wise, we have organizations that give the president communication. He's not a doctor. He's not a scientist. So he's feeding off of what they tell him.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
and he's having to make decisions off of that, off of what they tell him. So you got you got people that's I'll say at the time the head of the WHO at the time was a guy that also had investments in people that were making the vaccine. So
Yeah.
he had a conflict of
mm,
interest. So he was
Majorly.
telling stuff that wasn't true, and of course he's on hearings and stuff now for doing all that. But I
Hmm.
mean, who knows? You know how the power trip goes. We pretty much done come numb to it. Like, hey, hell, man, they're in power. They're fucking they're not going to do anything or whatever. But
yeah, but
yeah, so, and like I was in pharmacy, so when
okay,
they come out and talk about, oh, we're going to push this vaccine. I said, whoa, 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 like a proper vaccine takes at least 15 months to trial. So I mean, you're pushing something out in 3 months. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a little risky in itself because you're not
yeah,
guaranteed to know what that vaccine is going to do to people because that vaccine could be killing people outside of the virus already doing that. So I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah,
so I feel like a lot of times they rushed it for one, and then two, I think a lot of the COVID deaths were probably split between actual COVID and the vaccine. Now, vaccine now probably okay because they've had time to tweak and mess with it and stuff like
yeah,
that. But
Yeah. We're 4 years in. We're like four
right, right,
years in
right.
at this point.
So
Yeah.
so it's understandable that it's probably a lot better now than it was in the beginning.
Oh, I'm
oh
sure it
yeah,
is.
But
sure,
yeah, but I think they were just looking for an answer, and I think the president at the time got talked into some bad decisions and probably costed him the election last time. So
yeah.
Possibly.
I don't think that there are any global leaders that were ready to face this situation,
mm,
but the way that
No.
he addressed the public was bad.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't
it
the way.
says,
Yeah,
yeah, saying standing up there and saying I'm not a grave digger. It's like that's. It's like, well,
Yeah.
somebody
you might as well just be
you got to
walking on.
bet.
You might as well just be walking the street with a tape measure, just measuring people for caskets. I mean,
Right.
the way he's talking stuff like that. Like,
I mean,
I mean,
you got to have
no,
some kind of
that's
empathy
a
and compassion for your people, man. Like,
yeah,
yes, yeah,
that's a big swing and a miss right there.
yeah,
So
yeah. And then, like the biggest thing that I hate about the whole pandemic was I knew about it in October because I'm a healthcare professional and I got publications that most people can't get. So I got told about it in October in 19.
okay,
And when I read the publication, it pretty much said, well, there's no chance of it ever getting to the States. And that's what they were going off of. Well, lo and behold, some
that
guy was
too.
there in China and took a plane trip back to New York and started spreading it. And, that's
Yep.
kind of what happened, But
Yep. And the rest is history.
yeah, right. The rest is
yeah,
history. But I think the everybody can say, oh well, the shutdown was late. Well, okay, again, you have to go by the Federal Airline Association for shutting stuff down. I mean, he don't he's like I said, you go by advice. You got advisors in all these categories that tell you things that you have to go by. So
Hmm.
this country is crazy because they think one man saves us. And that's not the way it goes. I mean, like the problem
No.
here is we got 560 something, some odd other jackasses up there that need to go. It's not the one man; it's all those people that need to get the hell out. But
That's
right,
true. That is
they've
true.
been up there for 40. That's what I'm saying. Like people don't understand. These people have been here 45, 50 years.
A lot of them
Okay,
have.
well then, if you had shit going wrong, guess what the problem probably is? The people that's been here 45 and 50 fucking years. So
right.
it's like you got to
Yep.
get those people out of there, man. Like
Yeah. They really
silly.
do.
But anyway,
Term limits.
yeah,
Term limits.
there you go. Well, that's
Yeah.
all we're going to talk about politics.
So, all right. So, well, yeah. So, yeah. So, well, yeah. We'll get back to the music. So, where did you guys record Conquer?
Conquer was recorded at a studio here in our city called Silent Music,
Okay.
and it's a studio of a guitar player called Karim, and
Right.
he used to play in a band called Seven Angels, and later on Legacy of Kain.
Right.
And at the
Oh, yeah,
time,
yeah. Okay, yeah,
you know Legacy of Kain,
yeah. I know.
okay,
I know of Legacy of Kain. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So and well, at the time he was well, he was really the only name that came up when we were talking about producing metal here in the city. There was a lot of studios here with big gears and big guns, but none of them were producing metal. They were doing other genres. They were
Hmm.
doing pop. They were doing jazz. They were doing sertanejo. And this the style of music that we listen to, metal, it's extremely specific. If you get someone that really he does not know how to get the results of the genre, it will probably be a failure. It's
Hmm.
not an easy task. So we had to go to the only. It sounds bad when I say that, but not the best producer, the best battle producer in
Mhm.
town at the time.
Yeah.
And when it came time to record Evolve, I was already like 10 feet deep into music production. So I stepped forward and said, I'm going to record this album now. So we went to another studio to record drums because here in my studio, we don't really have a huge room to get the reverb out.
Okay.
But we recorded the drums in another studio and then strings and vocals, it was all recorded here. But when it came to mixing and mastering, I was like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm not.
Mhm.
That's too much for me. We got to go to someone else. And that's when the name Russ Russell was brought up because,
Okay.
Evile is one of my favorite thrash metal bands.
Evil is
Um,
so good.
Evile, yeah, it's
They are.
an
They're so
amazing
good.
band.
Yeah,
And
they're very good.
Russ been working with them for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And we reached out to him. He was very nice and polite. Um, we were really looking forward to work with him. However, we had some delays. The pandemic was one of them, And when it was time for us to get the songs mixed and mastered, um, we heard about the health condition of Russ, and he said, "Well, unfortunately, I won't be able to do it anymore because I'll have to go to the hospital to get a surgery."
Oh, geez. Okay.
And yeah, I really do not know the details, but I've seen a picture of him beardless and hairless. So
Mhm.
Oh,
I
damn.
you
Okay. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And and at the time he said, "Feel free to contact another engineer. It's no hard feelings." And the one name that came up at the time was Adair Dalfenbach, which is a Brazilian producer that's
Mhm.
been working with, I guess, D Side, Cadaver.
Mm.
He's been working also with Red Devil Vortex, Project 46, a lot of Brazilian bands,
Mhm.
but some international bands as well. And now he's living in LA.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So we sent him an email and we got some messages back and forth. And he said, "Okay, let's do this. Send me the tracks and let me see what I can do." And well, the result is there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That
No. So.
you kind of answered my question that I was going to ask without me even asking it. So that's obviously pretty good, because I was going to say that I could tell the difference in the mixing and stuff from Conquer to Evolve. It's a, you
Mhm.
know, not saying there was anything wrong with Conquer. I just feel like Evolve's a little bit more crisper and you know, more, um, I guess I say more mastered, I guess, than you know, may have been he may have went into a little bit more detailed mastering than the first one, but
Yeah, we
definitely
really did.
both albums are definitely great. I'm just saying, this is kind of a difference I noticed with sound anyway.
Yeah, the sound really evolved, eh?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
one of the sayings.
He definitely fits right in here with us. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, in the early days of the band, we had a saying that every time we would finish a rehearsal, we would look up to each other and say, "This one was better than the one before and will be worse than the next one."
No, that makes total sense. It does.
Right?
Makes
Because
total sense. You get better every time, which means that the last
you
one
get
you
better
did
every
was
time.
worse than the yeah. You get better every
Well,
time.
we talked about that last week with Brian. With, you know, when you hear an album, you know, we're old school, so when we put an album on, that first song kind of sets the tone for us, you know.
Hmm.
So if it's like not if it's lacking, then I'm kind of like, man, this, I don't know about going
You get a
too
little
far into
vengeful.
this. You know what I mean? So if you got
Yeah.
something that catches you right out the gate, you're like, oh yeah, this is good. I'm hooked. Let's go. You know, even if you do taper it down somewhere in the middle, it's not going to matter because you've already hooked them and got them in. So
Yeah.
instead of playing like a, you know, a ballad at the beginning, you're just like, well, okay, this isn't good. You know, you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
it's, like, I don't think I've ever like grabbed an album and heard a ballad and thought, oh man, this is gonna be great. You know, so, so
Uh, just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to think of I'm actually trying to quickly rack my brain for a metal album that starts with a ballad. I can't fucking think of one.
well, I mean, if
Not
there
to
is
send
one,
I was
if
about
there
to
is one, it
say
had to happen between 88 and 92. So I mean,
more than likely, yeah. But
uh,
more than likely, yeah. But yeah, I mean you do have to have a hook. I mean it's called that
yeah.
for a reason. So
Yeah, even I
Yeah.
mean, even the greatest ballad bands back in the day was, you know, had that one song in the beginning that hooked you in first, and
hmm
then, you know,
yeah, the ballad was,
yeah,
in the body of the album. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, Poison didn't get famous off singing "I Won't Forget You" in the beginning of an album. I mean, that's not what got them there. You know,
Uh-uh. No, it did not.
they had to release "Talk Dirty to Me" first, and then, you know,
Yeah.
so
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, you had to get people that were heavier involved to get them on board, and then, you know, most of us guys that were into the heavier stuff back then listened to it because our girls were crazy over, you know, our girlfriends were crazy over the band, you know. Oh, he's so
Okay.
cute. Let's listen to this. I'm just like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and
I guess it.
the funny thing was is back then the bands knew that, so they weren't
Oh well,
dumb
yeah,
by
yeah, right.
writing. They weren't stupid by writing the amount of ballads that came out, those power
Because
ballads. They weren't dumb.
The majority
So
of their audience was females. So.
Right. So they knew they had to have, they knew they had to have the up tempo stuff, the heavier stuff, and then they knew they had to slow it down for the late. They knew they had to have a little bit of both.
Yeah, you see, they knew the public.
Right.
The public.
Yeah.
It goes right back to that. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the mixing and mastering goes, you gave that to somebody else, but do you have the capability to do that there where you are?
Yeah, I do.
Do you,
I'm doing mixing and mastering jobs every now and then for
okay.
metal bands, but that's one of the things. When there's um oh, I forgot the word again. Um, a price inquiry for mixing and mastering here in the studio, I
Mhm.
let the clients know right away that I'm not a specialist in funky. I'm not a specialist in sertanejo. I'm a specialist in metal.
Right.
So if you want to have a rock song or metal song produced, I'm your guy. However, if you want another genre, I suggest you look for someone else. I could do, but it won't be as good as someone else who is an expert at the
Yeah.
job doing it.
Who has an
Well, I
ear
mean,
for that type has an ear for that genre of music? So
yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, and I'm sure the people who come to you at least appreciate the transparency right up front
yeah,
like that. You know, so
yeah,
you're
for
not. I mean,
sure.
you're not trying to lie to them. Be like, yeah, I could do it, and then it just kind of sounds like. So yeah.
No.
At least you're up front. Do you so like and a lot of times artists are like their own worst critic and stuff like that,
right.
because like you just like I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay, it's done, but I don't like. Because you said your mom was a perfectionist, and it kind of rubbed off
Yeah.
on you. So so considering that you gave the album to somebody else for mixing and mastering, do you feel better having somebody else do it because they have, and we've talked about this with other bands before, do you feel better having like a third party ear listening to something so that maybe they have input that you didn't think of at the time when they hear your stuff?
Yes, absolutely. Because you see, one of the things that I've learned through my life, I could say, is that when you're spending a lot of time onto something, it's harder for you to see the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get used to the whole shape, and you don't see the imperfections anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I when I was in university, I used to give like backup classes, not backup classes, but I would help the students that were getting into the university
Mm-hmm.
with some of the basic classes. And sometimes we were doing an exercise. I was at in engineering school, and we would do the exercises on the board, and I would do the same exercise like 4 or 5 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I would make the same mistake every time because I was seeing that exercise like for so many hours that the mistake wouldn't pop up anymore, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
felt like that in the album as well, because when Adair got it, he said we need to fix this and that, and for me the album was perfect. I
Right.
was said, and I was like, okay, if the producer said we need to fix it, let's jump into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it was the right decision to make, to
Yeah.
get a third party involved, because it's an impartial view. He won't see it with the eyes of the creator eyes, you know,
Sure.
because oh, it's my baby. No, he will see it as a product, and it needs to be good.
Yeah.
Yes, and like I'm wearing the shirt, but Ashes Rain is one of the bands that we've had on the show that had their own studio as well,
Mm-hmm.
and that they would still go and record somewhere else, but they have a studio where they can like get everything down where they don't have to spend a whole week in the studio. They're like, okay, we got
Yeah.
everything down. That's what it sounds like. Let's go shoot it real quick. So they'll run over and shoot it in like 2 days, so they don't have to spend thousands of dollars on
Yeah.
rental for a
Yeah,
week.
They kind of had like They kind of
Yeah.
had like a rough draft studio,
Exactly.
basically.
So, and then they recently got a label. So once
they
they
did.
got the label,
Awesome.
then the label's like, hey, you guys got to work with this producer now. So that's our producer.
Okay.
So he's like, yeah. So I'm like, getting all this feedback from somebody else now, going, hey, you need to tweak this or tweak that, and that's stuff we didn't think about because we were doing our own mixing and mastering. So
Yeah.
so I, definitely you're not alone in that. Like, we've talked
Yeah.
to other bands in that same boat, saying the same thing, like, oh yeah, well, we didn't think about that, but that's if you got somebody that has an ear for that thing and knows what they're listening for, that's kind of where it's at. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of labels, how long have you guys been on Slip Trick?
For a year now, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. All right, not bad. So how they been treating you?
Well, they've been treating us all right. I mean, uh, independent band, independent label,
right,
Sure, yeah.
but they've been really great for us on the promoting aspect.
Mm-hmm.
that's the main thing.
Um, yeah, I mean the reach that we got with this album because they released quite several release packs for metal channels all around the world to review the album
Mm-hmm.
and to get in contact with us to stream it and have interviews. It was pretty great to see. A bit rough because a lot of the reviews from Germany were really bad. They were kind of massacring the album.
Really?
Yeah, saying that it's just just another trash metal album. It hurts, but well, okay, it's one guy's opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
You can't go 100% either way. No one's gonna
no,
not everyone's gonna hate it. Not everyone's gonna love it. So yeah.
yeah, I mean, there were people talking shit about Queen when they
Right.
first come
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm not comparing
being
myself with Queen, okay? I'm not comparing myself to Queen by
right.
any means, but you can't please everybody
Right.
all the time,
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not a Led Zeppelin fan. So
Yeah, I don't
that's
like
what
the
I'm
Beatles.
saying. Yeah. Not everything's for everyone. So I mean,
I
it's
say it could
Yeah.
be worse. You could be a 5-finger death punch, right now. So yeah. It's like we talk about this on the show. Like these bands get so much shit, but yet they sell out everywhere they go. So it's like
Yeah.
they're not caring
Really
about
do.
100 people not liking them. So
Right. Yeah. So, well, I mean, speaking of selling out, I mean, we're not accusing you of selling out, but we haven't talked about this yet. So, I mean, how often does the band get out to play, and how how far out do you guys get to travel?
Okay. Well, we usually play local.
Mm-hmm.
We have whenever there is a gig in town, I'm pretty proud to say that we almost always pack the venue,
Cool.
and it's pretty funny to see because we got to be known as the most violent band in town.
oh, cool.
Okay.
you know there was this one concert we did. It was a kind of a local festival, and they pushed us way back late at night, and I guess it was on a Sunday. When you stop to think about it, like 8 9 in a Sunday, it's kind of late because people are going to get up early in the morning on the next
Right.
day to go to work, right?
Yeah.
But once we hit the stage and started playing, there was a mosh pit from the very beginning to the very end, and people
Nice.
jumping all around. And this is one of the things that you don't usually see in small venues: people crowd surfing here in Brazil.
Mhm.
And there
Nice.
were people coming up to the stage and tapping us in the shoulder and jumping back in the crowd. And I was like, what is going on? At the same time that I was really excited, I was having a hard time understanding, like, people are really digging our songs. That's awesome.
Yeah.
After the concert, I got outside of the venue to have a chat with the guys. They were having a cigar, and there was this guy that came up to us, hugging us with his face covered in blood, saying this was the most amazing concert I ever been to. And we were like, thanks, but at the same time we were scared, like, dude, are you okay? He said, yeah, it's fine, it's just a bruise.
Just a bruise.
Like
And
you say, sir, you have a concussion.
so that was a pretty funny moment, and we are pretty happy to play on this particular venue called Blood. And funny enough,
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah.
say.
the name of the venue is Blood. And whenever they call us up to play, we are pretty happy to go because the crowd there is insane. They really do enjoy our songs, and that means the world for us.
Mhm.
That one.
But further down the road, what we have planned is an European tour.
Oh, nice.
That's
We'll be
awesome.
hitting Europe in November.
Nice.
Yeah.
You gotta
That's,
if you gotta make those stops to get to here, then you make all of them you need to.
that's right. That's right. Hell yeah.
Amazing.
Uh,
You see, we are going on a tour with Orphaned Land.
Oh, Orphanland. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're uh,
All right.
they're hitting Europe through the modern culture across Europe, the On the Road Festival,
Yep.
and
Yep.
we'll be joining them. We'll be
That's
joining them.
awesome, man. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's our first time playing abroad, and we couldn't be more excited and
I'm
also
sure.
nervous.
Oh man, no, you guys are gonna do great. Yeah,
I hope so.
that. No,
Mhm.
you guys will
Yeah.
be fine. I mean, sure, you'll. I'm sure there'll be some nerves. I guarantee you. But
Oh,
yeah, you guys will get out there. You'll play the first song, and I'm
you'll
sure
fit
you'll.
you'll fit right in over there in Europe.
Oh
So.
God, yeah, you absolutely will. Yeah, yeah, thrash metal bands over there in Europe. Yeah, you guys will fit right in.
Yeah,
Absolutely, I have no doubt about that. So, but so yeah, I mean, now I don't know what those dates are, but when you get some dates, let us know. And especially
yeah, sure.
if there's any sort of poster, let us know, and we'll get that out there for sure. Absolutely,
Yeah,
because yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome that you guys get to do that. So, and
I'll send
especially
it to
no,
you as soon as we finish the podcast. I'll send it to you.
yes,
No worries.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But it's a good thing you guys are you guys are going in November. I don't know how cold it'll be there then. I don't know. But you've been to Saskatoon. It won't be anything you're not
Yeah.
used to. So, so
Mm.
Yeah, for me
if
it
you,
won't be a
yeah,
problem.
yeah, if you can well hell, I don't know about the other guys, but you've been through a Canadian winter. I think you'll be fine, but I don't know.
Rest of the
I
guys
don't know.
wearing
I don't,
bomber jackets, and Pedro's out there in short sleeves. And what are y'all talking about, man? This is nice.
yeah, what's wrong? Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, this is
Uh,
nothing.
yeah.
One of the things that I experienced when I was living in Canada was this kind of super sunny day amid the winter. Uh, well, the normal temperature would be minus 30,
Hmm.
and this one day we had 1 degree Celsius, positive 1 degree
Hmm.
Celsius.
Yeah.
And I was going to get the bus to meet my friends downtown, and I had to take my jacket off because I was sweating. And then, you know,
I love that.
you know,
I love
and
that.
and I looked to the other side of the street, and there were people jogging on shorts and tank tops. I was
At
like,
at
what
at
the hell is
at,
going on?
at 1 degree, that's funny.
Yeah, you get so used to the temperature that 1 degree is super hot.
Yeah.
And when you stop to think about it, during the summertime, Saskatoon gets to 28, almost
Hmm.
30 degrees Celsius, like a 60
Yeah.
degree of uh, a delta of temperature.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much that is in Fahrenheit, but
Uh, 30,
well,
30, 30 degrees Celsius is somewhere in the mid 80s.
Mhm.
mid 80s. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. It's if God, when I was growing up in Michigan, I used to know there's like every degree Celsius is like 1 point something degrees Fahrenheit. I used to know the equations, but so
one
like
1 degree Celsius is 33 degrees Fahrenheit. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So so like so it's so 30 degrees Celsius is like 83 somewhere around there. So yeah, I mean that's still warm even for that's warm for anywhere. So
Yeah.
my aunt she lives in Hawaii and it's like 82 degrees
Okay.
there like nonstop.
Oh
And
my god.
so when she comes back to Michigan to visit her mom and dad, my grandparents, it'll be in like the 60s and she'll be like, "Oh my god, I'm so cold. I'm so cold." It'll be in the 60s. She's like, "I'm freezing my ass off," because she's like, it's 82 degrees year round in Hawaii. I mean, so yeah, she comes back to the mainland, she's freezing to death. So
Yeah, it's
she
funny to
and
see
she and
how
she,
your body get used to the temperature
oh
that
yeah,
you're living in.
oh yeah,
it's like
Super weird.
30,
Like
30 degrees Celsius is 86 degrees Fahrenheit.
86. Yeah, I knew it was in the mid 80s somewhere. Yeah.
There you
like the city that I live in, Curitiba, is one of the coldest cities in Brazil, and we are known in our country to be the annoying people. Every time someone complains about the cold, they say, "Yeah, but in Curitiba, it's way colder."
go.
That's the same, but still, it's not as cold as in Canada.
Yeah.
No, not Canada during the winter is
The winter
is
time.
no joke.
So I wanted to backtrack a little bit. I know we talked about this a little bit, but we always want to share the logos and stuff like that here. So I'm going to
Oh
share
yeah,
this.
sure.
Have you talk about that a little bit? So who come up with the actual logo there
Oh, the
design?
logo. Oh, the design was made by a friend of mine called Marcos Santiago. He is publicist.
Okay.
Okay, and we've been close friends for almost 20 years now. And when
Excuse me.
I told him about the idea of the band, he started to draw some examples like, oh, so you want something like that, like this, like that. And then we came to the final conclusion, but at the time it was Royal Rampage, and then just a small adjustment was made to create the Royal Rage logo. But the first draft was the two R's facing each other.
Okay.
That's
I think
the
I've seen that one too. Yeah.
that's the first design we ever got. And then later on, I guess was in 2017 or 16, I got to know the artist Adele Tavares, who is the guy behind the covers, like this one that we are seeing right now, the
Okay,
Can
right.
single, and the Conquer album and the Evolve album. He is the one making the covers for us.
Okay.
Nice.
I think that makes sense. No, just a bunch of band pictures. I thought there was another. Uh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, this is the one I seen too, where it wasn't colored,
Okay.
but it was still. I guess that was from a live. Somebody did that from a live shot, so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Like Cannibal Corpse with. What were we
Oh
doing?
yeah, that's a funny story to tell. The
Oh,
Oh,
Cannibal
okay. Yeah,
Corpse
we love that.
gig. Let me get a drink because I'm getting my
oh yeah,
my
you're
Oh
fine.
throat
yeah,
dirty.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Go
just a
for it. Yeah,
second.
yeah. No,
Ah,
no problem.
Uh, yeah, it was like it's funny how this thing is just flowing into our normal questions that we do is just kind of
Oh yeah,
flowing into we're not even having to ask them. It's just flowing into it. It's
yeah.
pretty cool.
One thing
yep.
is just like organically leading into the next
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, that's like pretty cool.
Well, like I said, I do have plenty of time. I mean, it's 2
Oh yeah,
a.m.
you're
here,
fine. Yeah.
but
Oh yeah, yeah.
but I'm totally okay time wise. But well, if you let me, I will keep talking. Okay. Okay. So the Cannibal Corpse gig. it was a pretty funny story. It's funny now, but at the time it was concerning. Well, when Cannibal Corpse they announced the South American tour, the the guys managing the tour they started to post pictures of Cannibal Corpse on Instagram saying, "Hey, comment here down below which band do you think should be the opening act for Cannibal Corpse in Curitiba, in São Paulo, in Osasco, whatever." And when I saw that, I was like, I gotta make some noise now.
Sure.
So I reached out to all my friends saying, you gotta go in this particular picture and comment Royal Rage. Please do that for us.
Yeah.
And everybody was commenting, every one of my friends were commenting Royal Rage, Royal Rage. And so there was a, a lot of Royal Rage comments popping up. While that was happening, I went to the to the event promoter website and got the email and sent a EPK, um, okay,
Hmm.
and sent an EPK of the band, and also talked a little bit about myself and about the studio, and we do rent some backline gear as well. And 15 minutes after I sent the email, I got a response back saying, "Yeah, that's you are exactly the kind of band that we are looking for. So if you are up for it, this is the conditions that we normally have. Just let me know if it's okay for you, and we are good to go." So that's what I did. I said, "Amazing, let's do this." And we got the confirmation. One or 2 days, no, I guess it was a week after uh, this email exchange, they released the poster saying that we would be the opening act in Curitiba. And boy, was I like, not ready at all for the lashback that we would receive. A lot of people here in the city talking shit about us, like saying that we are a makeup band, like a band out of playboys, like we only play because we have money. Stupid stuff, stupid stuff.
You and
Like
you were and
total,
you were wondering where all this money was. It's like, where the hell? Where's all this
yeah.
money? Where the fuck's all
What
this
the
money?
fuck? It's
Yeah.
probably because of the gear, you know. Um, and a total butt hurt, total butt hurt because
Yeah.
there were bands that I mean, with all due respect, I love when people say that we all due respect and they say something very
Yeah.
Right.
disrespectful,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, right after. But there were bands there trying to make some noise that they've been in the metal scene for 40 years, but never thought about the marketing aspect. The one thing that we were talking about in the beginning of the conversation, they never
Hmm.
thought about really turning the band into a professional band,
Right.
like getting a good picture, getting a good setup, good gear, good recording studio. No, they just went with it and said, fuck it, let's do it as raw as we can because that's metal. And, you know,
Right. Yeah.
100% butt hurt. But from one day to the other, there was something about 5,000 comments on that post,
Wow.
and that got the attention of Cannibal Corpse. They shared the banner with our logo on their stories, and I've been following them ever since we got announced. They didn't do that with any other band during the tour,
Nice.
and yeah, that was really cool. And when the day finally came that we were going to play that gig, there was a lot of stress because, you know, we got nervous. I mean, everybody
Sure.
talking shit about us. There were a few people that came up to us on the DM saying, "Dude, cheer up. You are a great band. Go there and kick some asses."
Hmm.
But the lash, I mean, the hate that we got, unexplained hate, let's say, we we were really confused. But when the day came, I looked to all of the guys and said, "This is the day that we gotta prove that we are not this made off band that
Mhm.
they're selling. We're gonna." I'm sorry for what I'm about to say, but this is the slang that we use here in Brazil. We're gonna put our dicks off and shove it up their mouths, shove it down their mouths. Okay,
There you go.
this is what we're gonna do.
There you
This is
go.
what we're gonna do on this stage right now. We're gonna play with 100% of rage, 100% energy, full metal, and that's what we did. And the response of the public was amazing. They they made a huge circle pit at the end of the concert when we made a small tribute to Slayer, and then we were kind of redeemed. You know, we felt redeemed. Like, okay, this is over, and we did our jobs, and it was a good concert. After after we packed our things, we were looking through the pictures, and we could see that there were some faces like on behind the stage looking at the drummer, our drummer, the Tiago. And we zoomed into that was Corpse Grinder, like staring, like, oh my God, this dude rocks. And we got to talk to him after the concert. He was like, yeah, all of us, we were amazed by your drummer's performance. He really rocks. We got compliments from the main act. It was surreal for us.
I bet.
It was a unique moment.
Yeah.
Weird because we were getting up on the stage like fearing, like we were fearing that someone would throw something at us, like for all the hate that we got, you know. But it was a mission accomplished feeling at
Yeah,
the end of the day.
probably be one of those things you'll never forget, and probably
No, not at all.
never get tired of telling that story. I wouldn't. I sure as hell wouldn't.
So you need me as your publicist. That's what you need. So like I like one of the things that I'll never make $1 out of doing, but I am like quick with snappy comebacks and stuff. So, so
He really is. Actually, he really is.
they would say something like at the meeting. I'm like, hey, if you ain't buying a ticket, your shit don't matter no way. So,
That's true.
I mean,
That's true. I mean, yeah, you have an opinion all you want, but I mean, if you're not going to be there, then
Yep.
you
you're not affecting us, because if you're not in the fucking audience, that's the only people we're caring about. So sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
Just,
you know, you know, our guitar player Saul, he's the one that hold grudges.
Oh no.
That's how you say, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hold it,
Oh,
grudge.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
He printed every bad comment and he got the names written down.
God.
And I'm
He
not
got a
saying that.
hit list.
Yeah, quite literally. He said, and every now, our city is a small city. The metal scene, everybody knows each other,
Yeah.
and every now and then we bump into
Mhm.
these people that talk shit about us, and he's the one that hold grudges, and he always have um a comeback for these guys that they come and tap on our shoulders and say, "Oh, congratulations for the tour." Said, "Fuck you, congratulations." You were
Yeah.
talking shit about my band. I don't even know your full name, and now you're tapping me on the shoulder. Yeah, he's hilarious. Every time
I
we
love
go out,
that.
he's hilarious.
I love it.
He's one of those. He's one of those. Shut up with his notebook. Going, hey, yeah, I remember 1992, motherfucker. I remember
Yeah.
you said that shit. Remember that in eighth
He's
grade?
that
You said that shit?
He's that guy, 100%. It's funny.
That's hilarious. I think I would probably like him.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I'm like one of the people that are. I'm very blunt and straightforward when there's like something that needs to be said. I guess, especially at work. Like people at work's going, "How do you still work here?" It's like they'll be like, "Hey, we need to do this," and I'll just be like, "Man, that's fucking stupid. We ain't doing that." So it's definitely a curse and a blessing sometimes, I guess. But you just gotta, you're born with certain things that you can't, kind of walk away from. So
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm not talented enough to play an instrument, so I have to stick with something else. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nah, me neither. I wish I was, but I'm not.
I was talented in sports, but that was about it. So I couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never made much. I never made it from that aspect, but
Same.
It's all
Yep.
good. So.
Yep.
It was fun. It was fun. It was
had
fun doing them. So
yeah, I always had some sort of sport too. So I mean, it's just, music was always there, like just as something to listen to. But I was always playing some sort of sport, so I never really had time to learn how to play an instrument. So, and I kind of like wish I did now, being, just turning 46 and everything. Cause I could probably, if I would have learned to play an instrument 30, 35, 40 years ago, I could still play that instrument. I can't really, body won't, but my body won't.
I have one.
Right. Yeah.
I just don't play it.
Right. Yeah. So it's like my body doesn't really like let me play sports anymore. But I mean, I could have always learned to play guitar or something. I just never did. So.
Well,
I think
still time.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Never
That's
too
true.
late. Never too late.
That's true.
We're always like remodeling part of the house, or there's always something going on where it takes time away from doing anything extracurricular. So
that's true.
It's I mean, at some point maybe we'll get situated and I'll have time to like sit around and pick around with it a little bit. But the show's taking a lot of my time right now too, because we're kind of taking things to another level, so it's taking a little bit more time.
Yeah, we're trying. We're trying to.
We're working on our website, and we're working on doing our own T-shirts and stuff now, because the guy that we were doing it with before just got stupid with this cost. So I'm just like, dude, there's no way in hell I can make any money. If you're
right,
I can't charge $50 a T-shirt. Nobody knows who the fuck we are. So
no. We
go to like this podcast convention every year. We could set up and sell stuff like that, but I can't get $50 for a T-shirt, man. It's not gonna happen. 20, $25 tops. That's probably about all I'm looking at trying to get out of it. So and that's the case, then I have to have a certain cost to make anything out of it. So
yeah,
right.
Or even break even.
Hell, I mean, hell, I would even if we did eventually quote unquote make it, I still wouldn't feel right charging $50 for a T-shirt.
Well, no,
that's ridiculous.
Them's tool prices, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Feels like a rip off. Yeah, I know. I get the feeling.
Yeah. Oh, if I go to a concert and there's shirts over $40, I'm just like, I'm not buying it. I'm just $40 is my limit. I'm not spending more than $40 for a T-shirt.
So. And I even stop and think for a minute if I really wanted it. Like I think I paid $30 for this when I bought this one, but like when I bought that gray Slipknot shirt, I think you got that actually the same one.
Yeah.
When I saw that one for $40, I was like, ugh. And obviously, ultimately, I bought it. But it took me a second to decide.
It's like you only have a handful of bands that you would see like every time they come through, and like I don't know, like and honestly, it depends on the dates, of course. But
of course,
but a lot of times there's a band that that I follow or whatever, and if I a non-point's one of the bands of that I like, and I've seen them a dozen times, and I'd probably go and see if they come through. I'd probably see them again. It's just they're a band that I've seen that many times, and I don't think they've ever done the same set. So it's pretty amazing to go to a show and be like not know what they're going to play, because they play the same thing all the time. But I mean, I'm getting ready to go see Lamb of God and Mastodon next week, so. That's probably going to be totally different than the last time I've seen Lamb of God. I mean, they got their 2 or 3 that they play all the time. Of course, Redneck's one of the ones they play all the time. But they'll have their go-tos, but most of the time it's been pretty different. Like I've only heard actually we talking about 512. I've only heard that live one time, and I've seen Lamb of God like 5 or 6 times already. So it's kind of one of those things where they don't play the same thing all the time.
Well,
it's good.
It's great that they have a catalog so expansive that they can do that. So
I mean, a lot of bands don't have that yet. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not going to hold that against them because they don't. I mean,
they'll get there. They'll get there.
But that's like I'm saying. If Royal Rage came around right now, and then you put another album out in 2 years, and they come around again, I would go see them again, because it's going to be different music. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's a new album and it's different music, then cool. But I'm not going to go you just brought Slipknot up. From the last album of Slipknot's, I wouldn't go see that.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good album. Don't get me wrong, but it's nothing there that jumps out to me that makes me want to say, "Hey, I want to go pay $60 a ticket to go see Slipknot."
Right. Yeah.
Because the older stuff that I'm used to listening to is what I'd want to go see, and I've probably heard all that already. So,
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Why? I mean, during the last rehearsal, we were discussing this amongst us. We were like, I guess it's time for us to start writing the third album. And then the drummer said, "Why?" I said, "Man, I'm kind of getting sick of playing this, and this song, and we don't have many songs to replace it. We need new songs." That's the feeling.
yeah,
I mean, if it's exhausting for the public, imagine for the musician that's
Oh,
playing it
yeah.
every night.
Yeah. Well, because not only are you playing it every night at your shows, you're playing them in rehearsal and everything else. I mean,
Yeah.
you're just like, why do I have to play this guitar part again? Something like that. So just
It starts getting exhausting,
yeah.
and well, then the urge is then it comes the urge to make new music. Okay,
right.
let's get rid of this one that I can't take it anymore. Let's make some new music then.
But I mean, I bet it's nice being in the situation now where I mean you have a pretty solidified lineup, and even though this album did just come out, having a little bit of stability in the band, it's probably, like I say, I'm just assuming you can tell me in a minute. It's probably pretty nice to have like a couple of guys, like whoever it is, saying, all right, now we've got this. Now what do we do next? I'm pretty sure it's probably nice to have that where, like, 10 years ago, you were like, I don't even know who's going to be in the band next week.
Yeah.
So it's got to
No,
be, the stability's got to be nice.
yeah, it is. It is. It's a very different situation when you have to think all by yourself what are the next steps that you have to take, and when you have a band that is really aiming at they have the same goal,
Yeah.
the same objective. So when we start brainstorming about what are the next steps, you always hear a different idea, a different perspective of what we should do or where we should improve our songs.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty intense sometimes. Sometimes you don't want to let go of your ideas, but
I think that's like I think that 10 year mark seems to be a big mark for most bands that I've noticed. Like they'll get like over that little hump right around their 10 year mark, and they just take off with stuff after that. It seems like that's like for some reason that just seems like that's the mark that everybody kind of hits and then they
okay.
shoot. So
Well, then we have like 4 years ahead of us before we take it on. 4 years to make two more albums.
I'm not saying everyone's that way. I'm just saying that seems like to me like just
Let's
let
hope for the best.
You got time. You got time. So.
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, hopefully we with doing this we can get you a few more years listening that way anyway. So
yeah. Well, I mean
Awesome.
the good thing is like I said, I was on your guys's Spotify. Obviously you have listeners in Curitiba and Sao Paulo, but I mean, according to Spotify, you got listeners in Helsinki, Finland, Stockholm, Sweden, Paris, France.
Yeah.
So I mean, your guys' music is getting out there, which is good. So it's not just confined to South America. So that's awesome.
Well,
no, not at all.
Yeah, good thing too is you guys playing with bands like Cannibal Corpse. I mean, somebody could come along with them and be like, "Man, we're looking for a good band. We're going down in Brazil," and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, man, we had this band like Royal Rage that opened up for us. They were great,
Word of mouth.
Yeah,
Word of mouth
Absolutely.
means a lot. Yeah.
Hopefully they remember us. I
Yeah.
hope. I mean, I've worked with Suffocation and Incantation when they did their last tour here in South America, and it was a pretty fun time I had. And Terrence, at the end of the concert, he was saying, "Man, we gotta book a tour. You, me, and George from Cannibal Corpse. We're gonna go through America." He was pretty excited about that, and I was like, "Yeah, right." But at the same time, I really do hope that he means it.
Yeah,
You know, it would be amazing to play alongside Suffocation and Cannibal Corpse in the
oh
United
yeah.
States. But wow,
That
you know,
that kind of brought me to a question that I meant to ask you earlier because you were talking about how they were, you seen somebody checking out the drummer or whatever during that show, and you realized it was a corpse grinder, and I was sitting there thinking, okay, first off, I might question your eyesight if you didn't know that was corpse grinder because I mean he was the only guy in there with no neck, so it's kind of hard to miss. It's kind of hard to miss him. Uh, but it's like everything. So it's cool to hear what you said about him though, because I think like he's one of the guys that when you listen to that music, you would never think he would be as nice as he is. It's
and
like
mhm.
that's all I've ever heard about him. Is that
all
he's
I've
just
ever
like
heard,
so nice.
and
Yeah,
he's always
he's a
doing,
super cool dude.
and he's always donating those toys to the
Oh
kids
yeah,
and stuff. So I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's, it's always cool, man, to hear, you know, the big bad metal bands doing good shit. Oh no,
right. Yeah, I
so
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah. Can Well, George was really really nice when he was when I went to talk to him. He was well, a pretty nice, outgoing guy. And at the end of the concert, I remember that he went down the stage and started taking pictures with the fans. I remember that there was this one girl, as I told you guys, this is a small town, even though it's the capital.
hmm
But this one girl, after the concert, she posted the picture and said that she had a quite long chat with Corpse Grinder, and he said that and she said that she gave him a plushie that she made or out of knitted the plushie. I don't know.
hmm
hmm
And he said that he was going to give it to his daughter afterwards. It's like a really nice guy caring
yeah,
for the fans.
yeah,
You know, it's something that you don't see it every day. Like not
Right.
all the bands have this kind of charisma and
yep,
the this kind of treatment toward the fans.
yep.
It's pretty important when, especially when you're talking about independent small bands. You got to treat your fans right
Yeah,
because
you do.
they're the ones who are going to promote you the most.
Yep.
Yeah, especially nowadays in the social media culture we have. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had I got to take a picture with Pedro from Royal Rage, or I got to take a picture with this guy or that guy or whatever, and it's that. I mean, and hell, I've done it, and I've done it, and I'm my daughter and I have taken pictures of us just holding up guitar picks we caught, stuff like that. So I mean,
yeah,
I've done it. So and I
Yeah,
mean it's out there instantly. So
that's memories though, man. You don't always
absolutely,
have those.
for
So
sure.
and that's
And
kind of what you want to do at shows too. You make a connection with the fans so they remember it. So
yep,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And I
and you
mean,
want it to be a good one so they come back. You don't want it to be where you
hell yeah,
be
exactly,
like, oh man, I went and
exactly.
seen so and so and they snubbed me like they didn't, like they were too good to talk to me and shit.
No, you know, well, we've heard so many stories about rock stars that treat their fans like trash. And I mean, we we are not those kind of guys, but I do understand that every now and then people have bad days.
Right.
sure,
But
yeah,
even though if you're on the road, and this is something that I'm telling you guys, but I'm really telling it to myself, so I never forget this because
yeah,
if you're on the road playing a gig in some foreign town for people that you never seen in your life, that they're there to watch you play your music, this is the kind of thing that you gotta put it in your head, even though you had the worst of the days, even if
hmm
all the technical issues went wrong. If you have all the
right, yeah,
technical issues you could during your setup, you got to remember that you're making it for the fans, and most of all, you were a fan one day, and you wouldn't like to be treated badly by your favorite your
Right.
favorite musician,
Yeah.
right? This is one of the things that I really try to not forget at all times, because I know that sometimes I'm really an old grumpy fuck, but I always try to give my best to everybody, like taking
Yeah.
a picture, taking the time to talk.
It's like,
Um,
he's like
well,
me.
that's
I
it.
feel like I feel like I get one step closer to being the get out of my yard, get off my lawn guy. You know, that's,
Right. Yeah.
every year older I get, I'm becoming more like that guy. Than,
Yep.
I totally
Yep.
get it. I mean, sometimes I feel like the old man yelling at clouds.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
some shit. I'm complaining about everything, and then I gotta chill. I gotta chill.
Yeah.
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 which I think too. You kind of gotta depress too at some point to you know. With shows and stuff like that, you got to wind yourself down and that kind of thing at some point
Hmm.
too. And I think like the
Yeah.
one of the things that I read that kind of pissed me off worse than anything is like some bands were like switching going through the airport and people were like, oh hey, can I get your autograph? Like motherfucker, they probably like trying to get to another flight for for a
Yeah. I mean, they got
layover, and they
places
ain't
to
got
go. Yeah.
they ain't got time to sign your shit, man. If if you want to you're lucky enough to be on a plane with them, maybe you'll get lucky. But yeah, catching
Yeah.
them at the
Yeah.
airport like that, it's like, man, that's kind of rude, man, to me. But you
It
know,
is.
it's like
It
you
is.
said, you met what one of the guys from Disturbed there, right? And you just kind of said,
Yeah,
hey, I just
from
want to say hi because I know who you are.
I was at the airport in Nashville, and I was walking to the bathroom, and I just happened to look over, and John Moyer was sitting at one of the gates. And as I was walking by, I looked over. It was just weird, the weird timing, because I was walking to the bathroom. I just happened to look over, and he happened to look up, and we saw each other, and I gave him a quick little head nod, and he gave me a little quick head nod back. I walked over, said, so I just want to say, I've been a fan since Union Underground. Shook his hand and said thanks, and he said thank you, and I just walked on. I didn't. I just wanted
Right.
to just say thank you as a fan. Didn't ask him for a picture. Didn't ask him for an autograph. I didn't linger because I didn't want to. I didn't want to hang around too long and somebody get wins like, is that guy famous? And then just start some
yeah,
kind of just start a swarm. So I just walked over, shook his hand, said big fan. Thanks. Have a good day. See you. And he appreciated it. So so
And,
yeah, I
and
just
And it's
yeah.
like I don't know if you've seen that video a little while back with John Cena, but he was eating at a little restaurant with his friends or whatever in between the shoot. They were just shooting a movie, so they had a day off, so they were just eating and talking or whatever. And these fans kept harassing him. He's just like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm this is my time. Like, if you want that stuff on, just catch me some other time. But I'm in the middle of stuff here. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm shooting a movie. This is kind of what we're talking about. I don't have time for that right now.
Yeah.
And he was
It's
and he
it's
was
a
nice and he was nice about it, but they were
it's
being
a
pricks about the shit.
yeah,
Like,
it's
we're
a
recording this, we're gonna post it on blah. So who gives a shit? Like
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you're sitting there gonna try to make the guy that does 600, 700 make-a-wishes look bad. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Good luck with that. It's like,
yeah. I mean, that dude is leading the league in Make-A-Wish Foundation by several hundred. I mean,
oh
he's
yeah.
done so many more. Like the second closest person is like 500-600 behind him. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to post a video just because you
You
caught
didn't get what you
him.
wanted. Like,
Yeah, you caught him at a not so great time. Yes, I mean we're all still human. We're all still human.
yeah.
That's the thing is, I mean, you play, Pedro, you play a show, the show gets over at 11, 12. Then you have to get everything off the stage, you got to get everything packed up, and then
mm-hmm.
you're talking 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and depending on the day of the week, like you said, if that one show is on a Sunday, everyone's got to get up and go to work the next day.
Yeah.
So I mean, hell, that could potentially include you. It's like, I got to go home and go to sleep too, so I mean, if everyone expects me to hang out for another hour after all that other shit, hell, you're looking at getting home potentially close to sun up. And I mean, so I mean, you can't blame a person for at some point go, all right, guys, thanks, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So I mean, So
it's just like, even if you seen somebody like that, you just walk up and say, "Hey, man, enjoy your work. Just want to say hi." Walk like you just did. Walked on.
That's what. Yeah.
And if they say, "Hey, I got a minute," then you can turn around and talk to them. But if they just say,
Right. Yeah.
"Oh, thanks," and just keep going, and
That's
just
all
keep
I
going.
did.
Just keep going. I mean, it's not that hard. It's like people are so selfish for stuff like that, and then 9 times out of 10, it's going to be on eBay 2 hours later anyway. So they're not even doing it. They're not even doing it because they're true fans. So.
not for the right reasons, but
no, I got autographs everywhere, and they ain't going nowhere until I die. So my kids can auction it off and get money for it if they want to, but as long as I'm alive, they're going to be on my wall somewhere. So
damn right.
Because I mean they're from I got Motionless in White's autographs, and I've gotten Upon Burning Bodies autographs. I mean, it's from meet and greets and stuff. So I mean that's kind of like I said, that's a memory that I remember because they took time to do those things. And Upon Burning Bodies was supposed to be $50 for meet and greets, and they wound up being late to the show. And they said, you know what, we're going to meet everybody for free. Don't worry about it.
See, that's gracious right there. That's very cool.
And then they said, if you bought the $50 thing, hit us up. We'll give you something extra. So they was able to do stuff extra for the people that actually bought the $50 pass or whatever. But they made the meet and greets free just because they were late to the show. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. So
yeah, see, that's cool, and taking care of your fans. That's a good thing.
Yeah. So, Pedro, before we let you go, I just want to give you time to plug your stuff, where people can find you guys and follow you guys and find your music and all that good stuff.
Okay, so oh my god, this late at night, I guess my brain is not working anymore. Let's try this again. Okay, so thank you for everyone that's been on the show so far, hanging out with us. We are on every streaming platform, from iTunes to Spotify to Deezer, whatever you're into, we are there. And if you want to get a bit closer to our work, there is our Instagram, Royal Rage Official, and also our Facebook page at Royal Rage Official. And stay tuned. Send a message. Say hi.
Yeah, absolutely.
We would love to know that you got to know us through the Metalheads Unite podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Too, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we are definitely.
Like I said, we like to turn people on to new bands. So that's our mission and our goal. So if anybody says, "Hey, we heard you guys on," actually we've gotten interviews with bands from that, because we interviewed one band, and then like another band that knew them was like, "Oh, I heard the interview," and they hit us up, "Hey, listen to our stuff, see what you think." So we listened to that, and then they came on the show. And then another band that knew them sent us, "Hey, here's my demo."
Yeah.
So we just kept getting music in our email for like 3 months straight.
Yeah,
and all three of those bands have been on the show. Yeah, and all three of those bands have been on the show. So I feel like if you've taken time to do that, then you're trying to get somewhere. Like you said, you're promoting yourself. So
exactly.
I feel like if you're hitting us up in the email and wanting to know what we think, that's for us, that's humble for us, because we appreciate you guys sending it to us and thinking of us and our opinions of that high. So
well, so it was pretty awesome for us to get into the mailbox an invitation to go onto a podcast on the United States. We were like shocked at first. Wow, that's huge. We were pretty happy. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And like you said, when you get a chance, I mean, it doesn't have to be right after the show ends, like you said, but let us know what the tour dates are. We'll get those posted. We'll get those out and shared for everybody. And
for sure.
We'll put them on all of our social media pages and all that good stuff. And we will definitely keep track of everything going on with Royal Rage, and
awesome.
We will do our best to have you guys on again, and hell, have some of the, maybe we'll set something up where some of the other guys can join us. But like I say, as far as we're concerned, Royal Rage has an open invitation to the Metalheads Unite podcast moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for that.
if Tiago's arms aren't tired, he can come on. So.
Let's see if we can handle that. Well, all
Hey
right,
Joe,
guys.
man, we appreciate it. I know it's late over there, and we appreciate you taking your time
Yeah.
out to come on and talk to us. Very,
Thank you for
it was
having me.
very, very
Yeah.
informative. And like I said, I always love coming away from these shows and learning something. So
Absolutely.
that's always a big plus. So
Yes.
so we appreciate you sharing your culture and stuff with us as well. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, Pedro, take care, buddy.
You too. Take care.
Good, man.
All right.
Have a good one, man.
Let's have some rest now because tomorrow is another day.
Yes,
Right.
it is.
That's
Yes,
right.
it is.
Okay.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care, Pedro. Hell yeah, that was a
Hey, Joe.
that was a
Yeah,
great interview.
hopefully I said that right again.
It's a great interview.
Man, I love these, dude. Like, especially, like I said, especially when we're going to a different part of the world.
I know.
It's so enlightening and it's eye opening. And like I said, it's interesting to hear, how they went through the same things we did with the virus and how they handled it there or didn't handle it there, kind of like we did. So it's and like I said, the music scene, how different it is there than here. It's cool that he's getting up into Europe, and the band's getting up into Europe. I think.
Yeah, I know that was so cool.
I think they'll do great up in that area.
They absolutely will. They absolutely will.
And it's funny. I didn't bring this up while he was on, but I think he's still back so you can listen. But it's funny he brought up Exodus because that's kind of the vibes I got from the album was an old school Exodus Slayer vibes.
Yeah,
and and like I said, us being old school thrash heads, that's kind of like right up our alley and kind of fished us in. So
yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, if there's anything, this thing is not lacking its speed. It is fast, dude. Fast.
Yes, it is.
If you're a fan of the old schools, what we call speed metal back in that day, that's you're in the right spot here with Royal Rage.
Yeah. No, I mean either album, whether it's Conquer or Evolve, either one.
Yeah, both.
I mean, I mean, the thrash metal, speed metal fans. I mean,
I forgot to ask him if there was a way to get a hard copy of that.
Really can't go wrong. Well, I mean, we email.
I'll email.
We email. But yeah. So any thrash metal fans, it's going to be right up your alley without a doubt. And the funny thing is, you talked about just learning about somebody from another another country. Come to find out, of course we're living through different things because political and political and ideological differences, whatever. But I mean, we're still all just, of course, we're all metalheads because that's what we're specifically talking about here. But I mean, still, we just find out we're all just people. I mean, we're not so different, you and I, so I mean, shit like that, so I mean, he was just sitting back, enjoying a drink, shooting the shit with us, just hanging out.
And it's proof what we've been saying. Like, metal is dominant throughout the world. So
yeah, it's universal.
So
absolutely is.
You notice he didn't say anything about country there. He kept saying pop and other genres, but he didn't say anything about country, which was kind of interesting too. So I noticed that. So
yeah, I did too. I did too, which is a little strange because and of course I don't have a whole lot of experience with people from South America, but my buddy Danny, he's Cuban, and then I got some friends from I've got some friends from Mexico, and I have a coworker who's from Puerto Rico. So some of those Latin American countries, they do have a little bit of a they do have a little bit of a like a country music background. I mean, I don't know exactly how many like actual artists come from there, but I do know that some of their music kind of has a little bit of, I don't know, like foundation in country music, but some of the music I've heard has kind of got a little bit of a country vibe to it, but
like folk music or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you think about folk music, that's kind of a country related genre.
Yeah,
So,
kind of
because
a
if you
folk
got
is.
Irish folk, and
Yeah, it's kind of a predecessor, I guess, to
right.
what country music kind of evolved into a little bit. But so, but yeah, that was a little strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great interview though. Thanks again to Pedro.
Yeah,
For
Pedro, man, that was great.
sharing the
Especially
Royal
hanging,
Rage stories
especially
with us.
oh yeah, especially. And that's the funny thing is we didn't even have to ask him for road stories. He just kind of
No,
like
he gave us a
he's just
couple. Yeah,
he's just like I got a good story. He's like shit, bring it on.
that's right. That's what we're here for the stories, man. We love the
Absolutely, yeah.
stories.
Oh man, these bands. If these bands just came on and told us just concert stories, that would be enough
Oh
for
yeah, I
me.
was just listening to that too. Yeah,
Yeah, I could just sit back and listen to someone tell stories like all the time. I love hearing people tell stories about stuff like that. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be about music. I mean, just tell me something cool you lived through. I don't care
right.
who it is. Just tell me something cool you lived through. I like that. I don't know why. I just do. I like to hear about. I do. I just like to hear about stuff other people have been through that maybe
Oh,
I
dude,
was like, oh, I
I
never
can
done
find
that.
I could find an old dude at Waffle House or on a work bench somewhere and just talk to him, man. I'm like, man, they got some stories.
Yeah, they do.
But anyway, we appreciate Pedro.
Yep. Yes, we do.
Chatting with us. So back to being selfless promoting here.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, like Pedro said, man, you got to market yourself.
Got to market yourself. Yeah.
Got to market yourself.
You do see the ticker there at the bottom. Metalheads Unite Radio is playing at stream.
Playing right now.
Radio247.com/8008/stream.
Yep.
There's even some Royal Rage on there. So
yeah. Yep. The Truly Radio, the 24/7 part. It's not just a clever name. It's the truth. It's the truth.
All day, every day.
All day, every day.
Yep. There's an automatic DJ playing spinning all the tunes. So
that's right. So if you want to check that out, that is at the bottom of the screen. metalheadsuniteusa@gmail.com is our email address. Follow us on all of our social media, our Facebook group, our Facebook page, on X, on Instagram, on Twitch, on Rumble, on TikTok, and follow us on Spotify. And follow us on our YouTube channel.
You almost sound like you're kind of urge on the Santa Claus's reindeer there on
right,
Twitter.
Yeah. That's true. Donner Blitzen.
Anyway, great interview there. Hey, if you want to catch any of our playlists, you can catch those on Spotify as well. Just look for the little symbol right up here in the corner.
Yep, right up there.
On all of our playlists there.
Yep.
The weeklies and the
themes of the week.
Themes of the week. There you go.
Themes of the week. We did one a couple weeks ago, Give and Take. That one is our most current one. Of course, we've had we've had interviews the last couple weeks, so that'll be the most current one, Give and Take, from 3 weeks ago now. That's the most recent one, but they're all there. Excuse me, they're all there,
and all those are on the radio station already. So.
Yes, they are. Yep.
We're still trying. We still got a little ways to meet in the middle, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. But if there's anything anyone wants to hear on the radio station, just let us know. We promise it'll make it. Absolutely. We are.
I forgot to mention to him about Metal and Test. I have to email him about that too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we'll do that for Dana. But we do have, like we said earlier in the interview with Pedro, we do have a couple of feelers out there. We are trying to, of course, this is week two in a row. So we're trying to keep this streak going, seeing if we can beat that 8-week in a row streak that we had broken, like right after we got back from the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. So, well, actually, no, I take that back, because when we got back for the 4th of July, we had another show. It was the when was it? Can't remember.
We had a regular show.
We had a regular show right before we went.
Right before,
That's right. And then last week we had Brian on from the Dude. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. So yeah, we're working on more guests. So right now we're kind of 50-50 on whether or not we'll have a guest. So you guys keep your eyes and ears peeled on the social media to find out how that's going to turn out, and if said guest requires us to change to a Saturday. So as of right now, I would say probably next Friday at 10, but I guess it's all going to depend on who accepts. So we'll keep you guys posted. Just keep an eye out.
All right. Again, thank you to Pedro Hera, lead vocalist for Royal Rage. If you hadn't checked out any of their stuff, go do that. The Evolve album is streaming everywhere.
Yep, Evolve and Conquer. Yep, both of them.
And some singles are also out there. So,
of course, the singles I did check because I wanted to make sure there was nothing I missed. The singles are on the album. So if you listen,
okay.
Yeah, if you listen to the two albums, you'll get all of the singles. So it's not like there's there's a stray single or an EP.
I've seen some stuff out. I've seen some that said 2020, and then I was like, well, that's kind of in between albums, so I wasn't sure if that was.
Yeah. So thanks to Dana, thanks to Amy for coming by as always, and I am still not 100% sure if our poorly worded question from Twitch was an actual person. They never responded.
Right.
So I'm not 100% sure, but if you were an actual person, thanks for coming by. Thanks for asking the question, even though we didn't really know what the question was, to be honest with you. Yeah. But thank you.
So,
all the
so
same.
hopefully that answered. So hopefully that answered
it. Right. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. Like I said, thanks again to Pedro. Thank you guys for joining us, and then hopefully we will see you back here next week with a guest. Without a guest, we'll still be here. So one way or the other, you will get to talk to us once again. So
that's right,
or hear from us once again. One way.
That's right.
So before I close, I do want to give a special shout out to a friend of mine in wrestling, Wolfie D from PG-13. He did a solid for my nephew. We went to a show and he got a picture of Wolfie and Jamie that was an old school photo, and he was. I told him, I said, "Hey, I know those guys." He said, "No, you don't." I'm like, "Okay." So I had to prove him wrong. So so Wolfie did call him earlier today and talk to him. So that was pretty cool of him to do that. So I just want to give a shout out to Wolfie. So
hell yeah, man.
So appreciate that. That's pretty cool. Like I said, for the fans. So yes,
that's right.
Thanks for your fans. So
right.
Anyway, I just want to make sure I got that in for a close. So anyway, hope to see you back here next week. Until then, keep those horns held high. Jump in that pit anytime you can.
Have a great week, you guys. Thank you.